In the times of slavery, they will hang the slave in front of others to create that fear. So this is happening, and it's so subtle. So we can't allow that.
The attorney representing missing girl Jocelyn Smith's mother believes the state has a weak case against his client. State prosecutors and the defense wrapped up their closing arguments in the trial yesterday. Jocelyn's mother, Kelly Smith, and her co-accused, Jacqueline Apollos and Stefano van Rijn, are charged with kidnapping and human trafficking for the little girl's disappearance. Carlo Peterson reports.
Defense attorney Renesh Sivnarayan yesterday centered his closing arguments around the credibility of the state's main witness, Laurentia Lombard. The state argued that details in Lombard's testimony relating to the 20,000 rand for Jocelyn is corroborated in the confession statement of Jacqueline Apollos and the testimony of another state witness, Stephen Kutsia. Sivnarayan believes Smith still has a chance.
Even the court finds that there is some kind of corroboration. I submit that even that does not prove the case against accused number 3 beyond a reasonable doubt.
Presiding Judge Nathan Erasmus will take Thursday to decide his ruling before delivering his judgment on Friday. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Saldanha Bay.
And former South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol has been indicted without detention for abuse of power over his martial law declaration. The new indictment comes as Yoon stands trial for orchestrating an insurrection with his December 3rd martial law attempt, which sought to suspend civilian rule in democratic South Korea. Armed soldiers were deployed to parliament under the decree, but the order lasted only around 6 hours as it was swiftly voted down by opposition MPs who scaled fences to enter the building. They later impeached Yoon over the martial law declaration. Yoon was stripped of all power and privileges in April by the Constitutional Court, which upheld the impeachment motion. He was soon forced to move out of the presidential residence. The fresh charge comes a day after investigators raided Yoon's private residence in Seoul as part of a probe into bribery allegations involving his wife and a shaman accused of receiving lavish gifts on behalf of the former First Lady. Gold is trading at $3,233.33 an ounce. The rand is at 18.63 to the dollar, 24.77 to the pound, 21.06 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $61.11 a barrel.
And in the traffic, there are some delays on the M1 South, right in the Braamfontein area, approaching Carr Street. While travelling towards Mayfair, some delays along the M2 West between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. That's due to an accident reported between those 2 points. Please be on the lookout.
A partly cloudy Workers' Day in store for Gauteng, with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: Electricity Minister Kgosientsho Ramokgopa believes the bad reputation government has earned for its nuclear build program in the past is likely due to flawed procurement processes rather than public aversion to the energy source itself.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Six minutes after 9 o'clock, welcome to it. You're on 7:02. It is the 1st of May, Workers' Day, a public holiday. Very important day in the history of various economies of the world. Without workers, there is no economy at all. Workers are a central and intrinsic part of any economy and any country. So if you're a worker, hello there, and this is your day. Happy Workers' Day. Most of us are workers, aren't we? So good morning to you and welcome to it. I look forward to your calls this morning as we will be interrogating this phenomena of being a worker. Are you well paid? Are you well paid as a worker? Do you feel that your employer is giving you sufficient remuneration, wages, and pay for the labor that you borrow them? A lot has been said about this subject, and it's not new in the South African corridors at all. Every now and then, especially on radio, we would be juxtaposing the salaries of CEOs against those of a lowest employee in the hierarchy of a particular office. So we'd be saying that a certain bank is paying the CEO so many millions in a month or in a year, as opposed to paying a few rands to a cleaner or a security guard of that particular entity. Where you work, do you feel that you are given sufficient remuneration? Are you paid enough, or are you being taken for a ride by your employer? On Workers' Day, I thought let's just delve into those detailed discussions. And do you feel appreciated? Do you feel that you don't have a choice? I mean, it's because of the scarcity of employment that you are taking whatever it is that you are taking home, or it could be that you feel sufficiently remunerated. My name is Thabo Shola Mashal. I'm excited to be with you. Feel free to send your comments to 072 702. Well, I think I must have messed it up, right? Let's try again. 072 702 1702. That is the text message. For your text messages and your voice notes, feel free to use that number, 072 702 1702. Alternatively, just call me. Let's have a discussion, which is what I prefer. Call and let's debate, let's discuss, let's show each other reason, let's persuade one another through a cogent argument. I'd love to hear from you. I mean, you have countries like Botswana, hey, where the new administration has been vocally asserting for a 4,000 pula minimum wage, and that would come to about what? 6,000 rands in South Africa. They're saying that should be the bare minimum. The new president, Duma Boko, has said in Botswana that therefore there is a moral and economic justification to argue for a 4,000 pula minimum wage. Those are our neighbors on the other side. And us, what is our minimum wage? About 3.5 or so. So if you can't afford to pay someone that much in a month, rather not employ anyone at all? I'm asking, that's not what I'm saying. And of course, there are exceptions to the rule, right? Because other industries cannot afford that minimum wage, to pay that minimum wage. So as an individual sitting at home or at work, driving or listening to us from wherever you are, look at your salary slip. You don't have to share it with me. I won't share mine with yours because there's nothing to show anyway. Ha 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 ha. Hint to the Prime Media head office, right? So I'd love to hear from you about that. Do you feel that you are sufficiently remunerated? Do you get what your worth requires? And does your salary, more importantly, your salary, your wage, does it stretch you to the end of the month as a worker? Do you feel that what you're putting in, because this relationship between employer and employee, the employee supplies and borrows the employer with labor and time. The employer compensates financially for what the employee is giving. So do you feel that you are getting your 2 cents worth? The effort that you are putting in at your work, do you feel that it's sufficient? And does that money really stretch to the end of the month? Of course, we can speak about bad labor practices, what ILO says, International Labor Organization says. We can speak about various policies of the workplace. But I thought let's make it rather personal, right? Let's just go straight to the bone. Because at the end of the day, you are contributing immensely to your workplace, to your company, to your entity. It could be a government department. You are giving them so much of your time, so much that you spend more time at work. At least most of you spend more time at work than you do at home. That's the discussion we need to visit, I think. But also it could be that you are an employer and you feel that the current South African climate does not allow you to thrive and absorb more employees, because it is so tough. You can't just tell someone. Many years ago, I wrote a piece in the City Press. I think it was an op-ed piece where I had said at that time that one of the things that made America work were the 3 words, and those words were, "You are fired." Well, I suppose that's very capitalistic of me to have written that, but the gist of it was that it is far difficult to get rid of an employee in South Africa than it is in many other countries because of our labor laws, which I'm aligned to those, and I agree 100% with those. Maybe not 100%, but I agree with what they're trying to achieve, given that exploitation can be rife, and we need to protect the lowest of the low. So it could be that you're an employer and you're saying, Thabo, no, I mean, you are one-sided. There are employees that need discipline, and we need to get rid of them, and we need regulatory framework that is employer friendly, that if someone messes up, I can summarily dismiss them and get rid of them and not wait another day and waste time in courts, at the CCMA, at the labor court, and in such protracted processes that end up wasting everyone's time and eating out from my profits, and my shareholders would be screaming at me at the end of the day. But what's your experience as a worker? Are you getting enough? I'm worried about that because there are various studies that have shown that a number of employees, workers, pay up to 60% of their wages spend 60% of their wages, remuneration, salaries on transport. On transport, 60%. That's quite a lot. And then the 40% is left for what? Other things. Is that how it should be? 011-883 0702. 011-883 0702. But also, whilst we are there on the open line again, I wanted to walk on Stephen Groote's footprints because he mentioned the issue of a white president in South Africa. Before I do that, perhaps let me just try to give you this kind of context. And Stephen Groote touched on it in the morning, and I'm sure you have heard this clip, and you've seen it, and you've experienced it on social media. But I thought, let's just jog our memory. Then I'll give you what I wanted to say.
And I want to warn you that this country will have a white president. This country will stay in Ezen as a president if the ANC is going to behave the way it's behaving. Because the motion of no confidence will come, will vote with the DA, mobilize all those who can mobilize, we vote together with the DA against the president. And then when it is time to elect a president, we abstain. And the ANC loses.
Yeah, I mean, the question of a white president in South Africa is something that a number of thinking individuals entertain, whether it's a pro or a con for them, or people are just indifferent about it. And I suppose the politically correct thing to say is to say it doesn't matter which color the president is, as long as we have someone effective. But some would argue that it matters. Representation matters. It's only been 30 years. It's only been 30 years. And how would it augur with a liberation program that is still unfolding and that is yet to be completed, especially on the economic side? 011-883 0702.
Hi, I'm Lewis Hamilton. Victory demands everything, but the journey is never solo. My team carves the way, data and innovation are my compass. This is how today's champions are made.
Drive your success and trade like a champion. CFI, a global leading broker now in South Africa. Access over 15,000 instruments, advanced trading tools, 24/7 support, and superior trading services. Visit cfi.trade today. CFI Financial is an authorized financial services provider.
CFI, empower yourself.
Are you operating an illegal drug rehabilitation center? According to the law, no person should operate a rehabilitation center unless it is registered. NPO registration is not a license to provide substance abuse services, whether prevention and awareness, community-based services, inpatient, outpatient treatment, as well as halfway houses and aftercare support. The Gauteng Department of Social Development urges you to register your treatment center. Communities must make sure that they do not refer loved ones to illegal rehabilitation centers. To verify registration, contact the nearest social development office. Operating an unregistered drug rehabilitation center is illegal. For more information, please call 011 355 7836 or visit the nearest social development office. This message is brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Social Development.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
The BP story, the oil giant reporting deeper than expected 48% drop in net profit on weaker gas trading.
The single biggest reason for the past 2 years or so why oil has traded around that 70 mark for quite a while before this recent move lower is that OPEC Plus was holding back on those supplies. So now they've agreed from May to ramp up at a much faster pace than what they had guided.
Mangoba Madinani, strategist.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show is brought to you by ABSA CIB. ABSA is a proud lead sponsor of B20 South Africa 2025. ABSA is a registered FSP. Your story matters. 702, let's walk the talk.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age. Or now also in a no water needed fruity flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and flemmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
Celebrate Mother's Day on Sunday, 11 May at Narox's Winter Sculpture Fair. Experience an Italian flavored day out with art, music, wine, gourmet food, and good living. The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra will entertain with string quartet cameos through the day, and there's an appearance by Italian soprano Greta Doveri. Wines from Cape Wine Cellar Master's Choice will be available for tasting and purchase, with gourmet food from Italian provided by the Epicurean Emporium and Benny's Bar. Limited tickets are available from nyroxarts.com. NYROX is a private not-for-profit foundation to benefit the arts. All income is used to maintain the grounds, the artist residency program, and artist support.
702.
Call us on 011 883 0702.
I asked for your calls, so let me not waste your time. Some of you have been holding for quite some time. Straight to you. Nari in Blegari. Welcome. Good morning. Happy Workers' Day, Nari.
Hi, morning. Yes, I'll say, myself, anyway, I never liked to work for anyone, so I don't know about that. All my life, I never wanted to work for anyone. Yes, listen, I think there's something that we miss, Thabo. You know, the whole idea that employers, they are important than workers. Without employers, you're not going to get a job. Without an employer, you're not going to get an increase. If you're running a business and your business is struggling, your job is not going to be secure. So I think there's less that is said about employers. And employers, they are a backbone of every economy. Like today, you look at people coming from other countries like Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Lesotho, it's because there are more employers than there. Even in America, a lot of people trying to go there. They are not going there for the American government. They are going there because there are employers, there are jobs there. I think less is said. I remember 2 years ago, there was an article that said there are about 150 employers have left this country. We got every year there are companies as well that are getting shut down and people are losing jobs. I think we need to focus. How do we protect employers so that a lot of people they can get jobs? You understand?
Yeah,
let's find that way.
Nari, I agree with you. We need more employers in order for the economy to thrive, especially employers at the small business scale, because small businesses absorb even the workers that are not sufficiently academically qualified. They can absorb cleaners, drivers, and people who are looking after the business, security guards, and so on. So we desperately need to. I think it also needs to be said that we also need to protect the employees. If we don't do that, we will be having a sophisticated type of slavery, modernized in 2025.
Okay.
Last word, Nari?
Okay. I think the problem is with every story, every human being, when they're supposed to do right thing, they're wrong. That's why even we got police. There are police who are not good. There are police who are good. So it's up to the government there as well to play its part. But at the end, I think we need the police. But you can't say because some police are corrupt. It means
Yeah.
that every police officer, yes, even employers, there are
Gotcha.
employers there with good intention, there are employers without. So, but at the end of the day, we need employers. The government's policies quickly, just to tell you, you know, when you walk around or you drive around, you see how many buildings that are empty. Those buildings, they used to be shops, they used to be,
Yes.
because it's difficult to, you know, to rent a small business, just a small space, it costs you a leg and arm. So we
Yeah.
got high rates, we got a lot of stuff. That's why
Got you,
it's
Nari.
easy-
Let's
easy
give
to
others a
do
chance.
business from
Yeah,
China.
let's give
All
others
right,
a
cool,
chance,
cool.
Nari. Thanks, brother. I really appreciate it. Lehlonolo in Bloemfontein, hi.
Hi, Tabo, how are you?
I'm free, Lehlonolo. Thanks for asking. How's it going with you?
It's one of those mornings. You have to be very controversial and ask questions about salaries that I really don't understand. But let me tell you something,
Yeah.
and I really think this is where the crux of the matter is. It really goes to human satisfaction as well.
Yeah.
It speaks to that. You remember the Maslow's law?
Yeah.
The hierarchy.
Hierarchy, yeah.
Yes. Well, it goes to that, but more than anything else, I believe. Look, the South African market of salary is quite it's got its own disparities. I mean, you look at it seems to favor the C-suite in itself, because you look at the highest paid member of a corporation
Yeah.
to the lowest paid. There seems to be a vast difference between salaries, and now you have to justify that difference in between.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? And then why I say that, it's because, well, what were the qualities that were considered for this person
Yeah.
to actually find themselves at that top level?
Yeah.
You understand? And if it really is experience, what type of experience? Because you've got a cleaner who's been doing this job for 20 years, and you've got a CEO that's sitting at a maximum of about 10 years, but he's
Yeah.
earning what, 20, 50 million. What are we saying about the experience
Yeah.
of this guy that's a cleaner? And is it really sufficient to pay him whatever the minimum is for a cleaner when he
Yeah.
holds like 20 years experience? But then it all also goes to the type of market we've created for salary competition in South Africa.
Yes.
I mean, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but do you think the type of salary that you as Tabo earn
Yeah.
at 702 compared to someone that's at a sister station or at a public broadcaster is competitive enough to warrant for you to move to them, or to actually just say, look, I want to be on my own?
Yeah.
I mean, it raises quite a lot of things about our markets that we've created and the type of employment capabilities we've created as a country. I mean,
Yeah, Lehlonolo, I don't want to
know that-
interrupt you because you're making
Yeah,
10,000
it's
good
fine.
points. Yeah, no, you're making,
But, yeah, thanks.
all those points are valid. I just want to engage with one or two before I say goodbye, if you will. And because you've just given us food for thought on a plethora of issues that you've raised. One of them is the competitiveness of the markets and various within an industry, and you've made an example of the media broadcasting industry, to be precise, right? And I'm wondering to what extent we should be engaged in the Competition Commission to evaluate the level of competitiveness amongst companies within an industry, because that is a serious issue. A very, very serious issue. I don't want to dilute the points that you make at all, but in some instances, you may find the public broadcaster paying more than private entities. There are. I've worked for the public broadcaster, and I've worked for private entities as well in this capacity. So I'd like to believe that I know two things at least about what I'm talking about. So so you may find in some instance, and without diluting your very intrinsic issue, you may find at times that it's not as clear cut as that. The public broadcaster at times pays more and with less demands. But having said what you are saying, I want to ask you this, and I'll say goodbye.
Okay.
What do you make of employers insisting on salaries to be confidential? Is it to protect themselves from the exploitation that is taking place within a particular company, or is it genuinely about respecting people's individual dignity as far as remuneration is concerned?
But that is quite a thing, a very serious matter. But look, what they're essentially trying to do is everyone negotiates for themselves.
Yeah, sure.
That's what they're trying to protect. But in actual fact, what they're trying to get to is a very simple thing, is that, look, you shouldn't be asking questions about why am I a Class A employee compared to another Class A employee, but this guy is earning 100,000 rands above me, and well, why didn't you go and negotiate 100,000 rands?
Sure. Letlonolo, let's leave it at that. Thanks. Really appreciate your call. Jerry, you are in Omonde. Jerry, hi. Welcome.
My brother, the only time that I knew what I'm worth is when I'm self-employed.
When you said when you are?
The only time that I know what I'm worth.
Yes.
It's the time when I started to be self-employed.
Oh, when you started to be self-employed. Yes, sir.
Yeah, when
yes,
I was
sir.
working for a company, I didn't know what my worth was.
Yes, sir.
And the question I ask myself normally is, I'll just give an example here, a motor mechanic, big companies.
Yeah.
You take your car for service, they charge you 6,000 rand for a day.
Yeah.
The guy that was servicing your car on that specific day targeted 4 cars.
Yes.
Now, it's safe to say that guy has made 6,400 or 6,500 times 4 for that dealership. But then he gets paid maybe 800 rand a day.
Yeah.
Now, the question I ask myself is it fair or is it not unfair? Is it fair or unfair? The guy wouldn't know because, I mean, you remember there's rent to be paid.
Yeah.
There's all those type of
overheads, the water that he drinks, the phones that he uses, the paper that he takes to the service center on the other end, and everything else that he got that he didn't start himself. He just walked into a huge building, and the tools that he has, the service kit that he's using, perhaps, and many other things.
Yeah, so sometimes it's a bit difficult to know whether you are being well paid or you are being underpaid purely based on what I've just said now.
I like how you phrase it, though. Whether you are well paid or the employer is not unfair.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not unfair because, and that's a particular phrasing that says you may not like it, but it is not unfair. One, unfair based on legalities that govern the labor relations space. Two, based on the morality that is also included because we can't deduce it from our financial activities as much as ethics and morality are part of it. And if someone wants to argue that it's not part of it, then you'll be talking about loafing, stealing, and all those other issues that are there that are involved at work. Yeah. So are you, now that you work for yourself, do you feel that you are getting your money's worth?
I do. I really do. I build, let me just be specific. I build trailers.
Okay.
And I sell them. So I can manage to build 2 trailers in one day.
Okay, fantastic.
The value of one trailer is 27,000 rand. So I build 2 trailers in one day, which is 27 times 2.
Yeah. That's
now,
about 50.
Yeah. So the question I ask myself is, the guys that build the trailer for me, how much am I paying them for building those trailers? Am I being fair to them, or I'm being exactly like the company that I was used with?
Well, that guy is listening. Maybe you should tell us how much he earns, and then he'll compare it to the 27,000 rands that you're getting. Jerry, let's leave it at that, man. It's 29 minutes to 10 o'clock. Sfiso is ready to give us the latest eyewitness news headlines. Good morning, Sfiso. Welcome.
Thanks, Thabo. Good morning. We start with news just in. An underground fire has erupted on the M1 in Braamfontein, causing traffic delays. The cause of the blaze is not known at this stage, but motorists are being urged to use alternative routes. This is the second time a fire is breaking out on the M1, exactly a year since flames erupted near the North Double-Decker section, affecting city power cables. The Kuzong West Clinic in Carltonville will close indefinitely today because of expanding sinkholes. Earlier this month, the Gauteng Health Department sent alerts to patients urging them to get transfer cards for the use of alternative health facilities. The sinkhole is meters away from where 5 houses have already collapsed into the ground. And social grant beneficiaries who applied for the grant using temporary IDs or other forms of identification might not get their payouts this month if they fail to verify their details with the South African Social Security Agency. The Social Security Agency is on a nationwide identity verification and eligibility review process. It's aimed at giving the select group of about 20,000 social grant beneficiaries a chance to update their personal details. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
This eyewitness news traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what and buy a lot for less. Plus, sign up to Take a Lot More for unlimited free delivery and more savings from Take a Lot and Mr. D.
South Africa, get ready to feel the pulse of the Hollywood Bits Durban July. Prepare for an exciting day of high fashion, thrilling horse racing and world-class entertainment. Watch this space for an incredible artist lineup announcement as we celebrate this year's magnificent theme, Marvels of Mzansi. Be a part of the buzz. Tickets are on sale now at Ticket Pro, Spar Pays on kiosks, and selected Sasol stores. See you on Saturday, the 5th of July at the Hollywood Bits Greyville Racecourse for Africa's greatest horse racing and social event.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult, day 3429. Just once, I wish instead of a compulsory stand-up, someone would send me a meeting request for a compulsory lie-down. No wonder everyone hates millennials.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
This isn't just a walk, it's a journey through memory, through meaning. The 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, returns on Sunday, 27 July. Walk from the hallowed grounds of Freedom Park to the southern lawns of the Union buildings and some of our capital city's most iconic landmarks. Choose from 8 kilometer, 6.7 kilometer in honor of Mandela Month, or 4 kilometer for something lighter. Entry is 360 Rand for adults and 200 Rand for kids under 12. There's no parking at the start or end, so book your park and ride from Joburg or Pretoria when you enter. Sign up on primemediaplus.com before 26 July. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. Walk with meaning. Walk with us.
702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
011-883-0702. I'll get to your voice messages in a second. Romano, you've been holding for some time. Thanks for your patience. You're calling from Eden Park. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Tabo, for taking my call.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Tabo, I would like to respond to the issue whether the country is ready for a white president. Let me respond first to say that I subscribe to the ideas of Mangliso Robert Sabuko, which believe in a non-racial, non-sexist society.
Yeah.
And therefore, a president who has the interests of the country as a whole at heart, irrespective of the color of his or her skin, it's capable and who are capable to lead the country, I will support that person. Remember, for the past 30 years, the lifespan of the majority African people have even went from bad to worse under so-called black leaders. So if we can go for a president that will put the interests of the country first, that president I will support irrespective of the color of his skin.
I hear a lot of benevolence in your sentiments, Romano. And I highly appreciate that, because we must at all times put the country first, right? Before individual ideologies or outlooks, political perspectives, and so on. So having said that, I would like to then ask you, given the history of this country, where representation matters, where for the longest of time, blackness has been associated with inferiority, the generations that come through, isn't it important for them to see as many black people as possible in positions of authority, of power and influence? Wouldn't that try to equate the scales that have been so skewed by apartheid, colonialism, imperialism, slavery, and all other prejudicial institutions that preceded the ones that I've just mentioned?
Tabo, as I said, that what is important is that take the current situation whereby we have, especially whereby we have so-called in many senior positions, particularly in government, whereby we have top so-called black leadership.
Yeah.
And then the question is that, are they really serving the interests of the country? Then that's no. So even they are not grooming the so-called black youth to know the history of this country. So what I'm trying to say is make the same mistakes what we did in the past. Remember, we know that colonialism, apartheid, that was wrong. That one we do not dispute, Tabo.
Yeah.
But the question is that what we need now.
Romano, one last thing quickly. I've given you some time, just very in few seconds. How would you respond if someone comes through and says it took America quite a long time before they experienced the first black president?
See, Tabo, I want to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The issue, you cannot compare America with Africa or with South Africa. The reason is that even that so-called black president, if you go to America now, the majority of the African Americans, they're still the same that even before, or even worse off before he took power, you understand? The thing is that we need now to look past beyond. As Sabuko said, we need to look past the color of the skin of a person is irrelevant, or the shape or the form of his hair or nose. What is important, it is a country first.
Romano, thanks very much for that. There's someone who sent a text message earlier on, and I wanted to do justice to it, which is very funny. And the person says, especially about what Julius Malema has said in reference to the clip that I played earlier on of Julius Malema. And this person says, and no doubt you are in total agreement with that red jelly tot, Julius Malema. Well, I find it funny on various levels. It's not, I'm asking you to call in, to engage, for us to persuade each other. And I would love to hear from you about that. I wish you had called. That's such a funny text message. I know it's meant to demean me and insult me, but I find it very hilarious. Please keep them coming on 072 702 1702. Rutherford, you are in Leondale. Please have your say.
Mr. Tawa, how are you doing, sir?
I'm free, good sir. How are you?
Good. On your question, I doubt if there's anyone who will ever say I'm over-remunerated because everybody feels like they deserve more. Trust me, even if you're not doing anything, you feel like that element of entitlement. But unfortunately, it comes down to the issue of demand and supply. If you have the skill that is unique and highly in demand, yes, you can negotiate higher remuneration or whatever you feel you deserve because you are needed. That skill is needed. But then if your skill can be found anywhere, trust me, they will just say you can go, we can afford you. That's the unfortunate part, unfortunately, if you are replaceable.
I suppose, do we not vote with our feet then if we are not sufficiently remunerated? And those who are staying, they could be staying perhaps for the money.
Voting with your feet, that's not a democracy. Where are you going with your feet? There are no jobs out there.
This is a capitalist environment. Rutherford, thanks for that. 072 702 1702.
Good morning, Tabo. This is Princess here. I mean, I'm also concerned about these employers that we don't have contracts with. We are overworking for them. Those employers are families. The children, I'm telling you, those employers, they hardly pay us. Instead, we pay them. What about them? We also need to come to them.
Morning 702. I hope you're good. Workers' Day. To us, Workers' Day means nothing, man. When I work for the company that pays far less than what we are supposed to get, there are no pension funds. There are no incentives, just nothing. And when you try to join a union, you get fired. So we are in the cage, sort of to speak. But Workers' Day to some of us means nothing.
It's unfortunate. And I can somehow understand where you come from. It ought to mean something because on a day like this, we pause and reflect on the rights of the workers. We pause and reflect on the work environment in our country and beyond, and whether our respective spaces of work are conducive for us to thrive and for the economy to grow. But also, we shouldn't forget that we do have needs. And if those needs are not met, the economy cannot sufficiently grow as it ought to. So a lot of people worry that shareholders often take home so much more than employees who are contributing so much to that particular entity. And whilst they can, it's the gap that matters. It's not that they're just taking away more. But the gap is so wide that you would find some employees in a year taking home no less than, not more than 150,000 rands per annum. And whilst shareholders would be pocketing millions, that disparity ought to say something about the wrongness of that scenario. It ought to say something. I'm the first to admit it's a capitalist environment, mixed market environment that we live in. There should be a bit of thought for those who are on the receiving end of pain on the shop floor. Does that make me sound like a socialist? I don't know. You'll tell me. 011-883-0702. I would want to hear from you about this issue and much more. Earlier on, we also played a clip of Julius Malema saying that there might be a white president in the offing in South Africa. Stephen Hortes, standing in for Bongani Bingwa on the breakfast show earlier, touched on that subject, and he lamented that before we even talk about the white president, we should give thought first to a black female president. Then in that way, we would have satisfied, I'm adding, he didn't add this part, this is me, so that I'm not sued by Stephen, the latter part is me, so that we should not necessarily miss the important rungs in the ladder of transformation and an evolving society that we find ourselves in. I'm persuaded by that. I am persuaded by that, because whilst we always assert that black and white this, black and white this, the gender issue is very serious in our country, wherein a lot of women are not, one, earning what they need to be earning whilst occupying the same positions as their male counterparts. They are not. And on basis, just on basis of being a woman, by virtue of being women, they are earning less. And these are the things that we don't speak about. And we need to address them. Yes, it's always colorful to speak about race, pun intended. But I think there's something to be said about the gender disparities, the conditions that many women find themselves under. So if we are going to be speaking about a white president, we might as well open the debate to a female black president. What say you? I'd love to know. 011-883-0702. We're also talking about your workplace, by the way. And I'm keen on hearing about your experiences at your work. Is it a friendly work environment? Is it conducive to your growth as an individual? Most importantly, are they paying you enough? You don't have to give us the figures, but are they paying you enough? At the end of the month, when that SMS comes through from your respective banks, what do those text messages say? And are you content? You, of course, all of us want more. All of us want more. I definitely want more. And someone spoke about the broadcast industry, and you've been sharing your experiences. Perhaps I must throw in one or two of mine. That one of the reasons why I left full-time journalism was just for that. Actually, it was in 2012, to be precise, when I disengaged on full-time active journalism. It was purely because of that, nothing else. I realized that I was starting a family, and I realized that I was growing up, and I thought, I'm not getting enough. The industry is not paying enough, or it was not at the time. And doing the calculations, I realized that I'll be doing what I love, yes, and doing it well, dedicating myself, and it can be grilling. Both city, they will tell you that, I mean, you spend hours and hours and hours and hours. What you hear on radio is not even a fraction of the work that takes place behind the scenes. So I disengaged purely because of money issues, and I thought I'd rather go and do my own thing and freelance, but just do my own thing outside full time. And that's the reality of it, because at times, money steals us away from things that we love the most. Let me know. Has it done the same for you? 011-883-0702. Anonymous, you are calling us from somewhere. Good morning. Anonymous, it's your turn. You said we should call you Anonymous. It's you. It's your turn. Hello? Oh,
yes. Hello, Tom.
Hi. Welcome.
I'm sorry. Network somewhere.
Oh, I thought you forgot that you wanted to be called Anonymous. I was going to call you by your name. Oh, Wanna, he's gone. It was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. I don't even know your name because my screen said Anonymous. But I suppose it's, we'll try to get Anonymous back. He wanted to make a point. It's 9 minutes to 10.
Good morning. I was actually surprised when you said some workers are not getting 150,000 a year. Where I'm working, others are getting 60,000 a year.
Sure.
But our boss is taking a holiday every other second week.
Even.
Because of how much we are putting in for the company against the profits, and then it goes 60,000 a year. That's about 250 rand a day.
Way below minimum wage, isn't it? Way below minimum wage. Anonymous is back. Anonymous, the floor is yours.
Hi, Tabo, how are you?
I'm free. How's it going with you?
I'm good. Happy Workers' Day. We are professional nurses. We work for a prestigious company and this local center. But our salary is quite good. But the abuse around it is so depressing that we don't even get off days. It's so difficult. But the money is good. I don't want to lie. The money is quite good.
I love the honesty.
We also got other employees that has been on contract for the past 2 years. And can you imagine? They haven't been paid since March. And it's professional nurses. And we're not even allowed to get unions. We cannot be represented because it's a private company. It's a private company. So things are very difficult on our side, but the money is good. Because the money is good.
Yeah.
We stay there because of the money. Let me put it that way. We stay there because of the money. But the abuse is really, really ridiculous.
What sort of abuse, if you don't mind sharing, Anonymous?
First things first, we are being overworked. That's the first one. The manager himself is way more superior than the store. Let me put it that way. I think more superior than the CEO. Because even if you go there with a problem, let's say you are sick. If you are sick and it happens that you report, it all depends. It all depends who you are. And you don't get the proper treatment. We've got another friend who was sick for quite a while, but when she came back, they had to deduct directly from the salary. You get it? You had to deduct. They said, no, you don't have enough leave days. You don't have incapacity. But labor relations say something else, But then they say, no, you don't have incapacity leave. How? Because you just employed me and I've been working with you for the past year. One of them actually resigned and actually complained on Hello Peter, reporting the very same thing that I'm basically saying right now. But the money is good.
So, the money is an incentive, right? The money is a great motivator for you to keep going despite the conditions. How would you feel? Apologies, Anonymous. How would you feel if the conditions were great, but the money was not as good?
To tell you the honest truth is that when the environment is good, and the money is not great, hence we still got professional nurses who are still working for the government. The money is not good, but they're still at work.
Great. Thanks very much for that. Food for thought, definitely. Anonymous, I really appreciate your input. Robert, you are in Parktown. Morning.
Yeah, good morning, Tava. Hope you guys are doing well.
We're good. Thanks.
Yeah, my contribution for Workers' Day, I don't really understand what it's all for because I feel there's a bit of bipolar cognitive dissonance, to use a fancy term, going on. Where, you have government workers who I think underperform. I think we all know that. You just have to look at the city. And yet they've got very strong unions behind them. And I don't see anything being done in the city, especially Johannesburg. So I don't think that it's worth paying them what they get paid because a lot of the time they don't do any work. Juxtapose that with a lot of people who work damn hard and don't get paid the minimum wage. I believe it's 28.79 rand. We really don't have time, but I'm sure you know for yourself, Zaba, there are so many examples of exploitation, and dare I say, it's really ironic and sad that a lot of exploitation is happening with local African companies as well. The employers should know better, than to treat their workers so badly. I can list hospitality, I can list security.
Sure.
I know an instance of there's a well-known security company, I won't mention names. But they get a lot of the contracts to provide security services for example, the football games at FNB Stadium.
Yes.
You know that they expect the security guards to meet at 4:30 in Hillbrow. Imagine.
Goodness.
And you know how unsafe that is. And then they get to the venue at 6 in the morning. They have to stand around from 6 till 12 doing absolutely nothing. There's no planning. There's no interest in their lives. It's really bad. So from an exploitation perspective, not to mention being paid dismally below minimum wage.
So, Robert, I just wanna engage you very quickly. We don't have a lot of time, but I do want your opinion on my follow-ups to your contribution. One, and you do mention that you've made an example with the city of Joburg that there are a lot of incompetent employees. Evidently, I can't argue with that. The results speak for themselves, right? I will just deposit the fact that there are those who are hardworking. But all of that, without necessarily diluting your point, don't you think that it is a product of leadership? Those who are not working as they ought to, those who are not delivering, those who are not meeting their KPIs, they are doing so comfortably, knowing that there aren't any consequences, accountability, or consequence management. So we should rather be pointing at the leadership, saying that you are not doing enough to ensure that these workers on the ground are doing what they ought to be doing.
I'm sitting here shaking my head. Unfortunately, they are not interested. They're only interested in money. The only way we can do as consumers, as customers, is, I mean, I don't have all the answers, but we must have some traction as customers, to those who attend the games, those who see the way the security.
No, Robert, I hear all of that. I hear all of that. And I'm not trying to squeeze in answers from you, but I'm just thinking that every human being will try, not every, but most human beings will try to get away with as much as possible if they are not monitored sufficiently and if there aren't consequences to their shortcomings. So I'm saying that those who are on the ground working, it's not that they're incompetent. It's not that they don't want to work. They are getting away with murder, and perhaps the fish rots from the top.
100%.
Great.
Absolutely.
Robert, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it. It's 9:50.
Tabo and all the 702 lanes. May I please remain anonymous? Tabo, I think with the situation that is here in South Africa at this moment, people are just taking any job, any and every job that comes your way. Because as it is the job that I'm doing, it's not even the job that I'm qualified for. And the money that I'm making per annum, per year, Tabo, you'll be shocked. You will calculate for yourself. I make around 42,000 a year. Just calculate and see how much I make a day, how much I make a month. It's a sad situation, Tabo. To be even saying workers day and all the stuff is something else. Thank you, Tabo. Great show as always.
Thanks very much, man. I really feel for you. I'm sorry about that. 42,000 divided by 12 months is 3,500. Exactly 10 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Another underground fire has erupted on the M1 in Braamfontein, causing traffic delays. The cause of the blaze is not known at this stage, but motorists are being urged to use alternative routes. An underground fire broke out on the M1 exactly a year ago, and it affected City Park cables near the North Double-Decker section. The Johannesburg Metro Police Department has urged motorists who are already on the route to be patient. Spokesperson Ekurhuleni Fihla.
2 lanes on the M1 South are closed after the Smith Street exit in Braamfontein due to a cable fire under the overpass. City of Johannesburg Emergency Management Services and Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department are on scene.
The Kutong West Clinic in Carltonville will close indefinitely because of expanding sinkholes. Earlier this month, the Gauteng Health Department sent alerts to patients urging them to transfer their cards for the use of alternative health facilities. The sinkhole is meters away from where 5 houses have already collapsed into the ground. Jabulile Mbata reports.
In the last few weeks, residents of Kutong have given mixed reactions to the news of the closure of the clinic. With some forthcoming, others expressed unhappiness. The Department of Health has listed 4 alternative facilities for patients to go to, saying because they are less than 4 kilometers away, they will not be providing transport for patients. Residents have also called for a replacement mobile clinic, which the department also refused, citing the threat of the sinkhole in the entire area. Department spokesperson Mudaladala Mudiba is urging the public to cooperate. He added that provisions have been made for staff working at the clinic.
We have ensured that the staff members that were at Kutong West Clinic
clinic are spread across the other 5 facilities to make sure that we can continue to seamlessly render services to even patients that used to receive services at Kutsong West Clinic.
Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News, Kutsong.
A prosecutor in the Jocelyn Smith trial says the accused's choice not to testify could be pivotal to finding them guilty of the charges they face. Legal teams have wrapped up their closing arguments in the trial for presiding Judge Nathan Erasmus to make his ruling on Friday. Jocelyn's mother, Kelly Smith, Jacqueline Apollos and Stefano van Rijn are charged with kidnapping and human trafficking for the little girl's disappearance. Carlo Peterson reports.
State prosecutors Aldous Swanepoel told the court Jocelyn's mother, Kelly Smith, and her co-accused had a case to answer for. Swanepoel says the accused's decision not to testify could prove pivotal to Judge Nathan Erasmus's ruling on Friday.
If the prosecution makes out a case that the accused needs to answer to, it's then a choice they make when they don't answer to it. And the court may then accept the evidence that was produced as conclusive and convict.
The accused could be handed life sentences if they are found guilty for the charges they face. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Saldanha Bay.
Beneficiaries who applied for the social grant using temporary IDs or other forms of identification might not get their payouts this month if they fail to verify their details with the South African Social Security Agency. SASSA is on a nationwide identity verification review process aimed at giving about 20,000 social grant beneficiaries a chance to update their personal details. The agency spokesperson, Paseka Letsatsi, says beneficiaries who fail to come forward during this process may have their social grants suspended.
People who are getting their social grants who have the valid ID do not have to panic or to come forward and make the verification. It's people who have the temporary method or alternative method of identification only, and we just want people not to panic and come to SASSA office to say that they had that. We are saying they must come and verify themselves.
And the US has appealed to India and Pakistan to de-escalate after a deadly attack in Kashmir, as New Delhi says that both sides again traded border gunfire overnight. India blames Pakistan for the gun attack that killed 26 people last month in Indian-administered Kashmir. Pakistan says it has credible evidence that India is now planning an imminent military strike, vowing that any act of aggression will be met with a decisive response. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio yesterday separately called India's top diplomat and Pakistan's Prime Minister. Rubio urged Pakistani officials to cooperate in investigating the attack, and he encouraged India to work with Pakistan to de-escalate tensions and maintain peace. Gold is trading at $3,233.33 an ounce. The rand is at 18.63 to the dollar, 24.77 to the pound, 21.06 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $61.11 a barrel.
And in the traffic, as you heard on Eyewitness News, we still have got delays on the M1 South. That's due to the fires under the bridge on the M1 South. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care while traveling in Mayfair. Some delays along the M2 West between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road.
A partly cloudy workers' day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 23 degrees. The developing story in EWN this hour. Another underground fire has erupted on the M1 in Braamfontein, causing traffic delays.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Six minutes after 10 o'clock. Thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to it. It's 7:02. It's our second hour, and we are at it again. In the previous hour, we had an open line, a very fiery, heated open line. We spoke about the possibility of South Africa having a white president. What does that mean to you? That's if it means anything at all. And we also touched on the fact that workers in South Africa, many of them, according to your calls, that is, are not sufficiently paid for the work that they do. As a result, they are dejected, demoralized, and deflated. And we took your calls, your text messages, and also on social media you participated. I think there's something to be said about that, especially on Workers' Day, that we do need a bit of a rethink. Perhaps a capitalist system, mixed market system that responds to the South African need, not necessarily without isolating those who are at the bottom rung of this ladder of the economy. Keep those messages coming through, especially on social media. And really thank you for engaging with us in the previous hour. This hour, though, as Clement would have it every other week on a Thursday between 10 and 11, I'm not doing it any differently. I'm not moving furniture, and we will be sticking to the script. Hanging Out feature is coming up next, and you're going to love our guest just after this.
For more about 702,
go to primemediaplus.com.
She is an actress, a fitness fanatic, and she is also involved in a million other things. You've heard her in different songs like Mzwembe, you've heard her in Naile Walk, and you've seen her on various productions, including Shaka Zulu and many others. And her name is Kabonina Kubeka. She's an actress, singer, dancer, choreographer, TV presenter, and businesswoman. Kabo, so lovely to have you. I hope you're well. Happy Workers' Day. It looks like you're working quite a bit yourself. Hi.
Hi, Tabo. How are you?
I'm
just
free.
laughing. I'm laughing at your introduction. You've just made me somebody bigger than I am, and I really appreciate it. It's such an honor. And you said you are not moving furniture. You definitely move furniture right now. Oh my gosh, such an honor to be talking to you, Tabo. I'm so happy to be on this feature. Thank you.
No, I'm the one who's excited. When I heard that you had agreed to come through, I was thrilled. I had
Tabo, I only agreed.
Yes.
I only agreed because Tabo, if it was Clement, Clement, I can't make it. But when they said to me it's Tabo, I was like, oh my God.
You see now, you're gonna get me into trouble. They won't allow me to do this, to stand in again.
Anymore.
Yeah. You know, on Workers' Day, you are getting me fired.
It's ridiculous.
Kabo, honestly, thanks.
Yes.
Great having you. I've mentioned 10,000 titles. Which one of those is most comfortable for you? And I know I'm asking you to choose a favorite child amongst your kids, but which one is more fitting like a glove for you? And if the proverbial gun against your head and you had to choose one, which one would it be?
Number one, I love that question, and I would have answered that question so differently if it was about 2 years ago, right? Now I do not have a comfortable, a fitting one, because I don't believe in the labels. You know, like I think as you grow up in life and as you do what you do because you're passionate about it, you forget the label. You forget, you know, it's like a mother being a mother. You're just doing what you're doing. You're just mothering. You are nurturing. You're basically nurturing. So the label is your mother, but when what you're calling is to nurture.
Sure.
If I can put it that way. So for me, it's genuinely that Tabo. I'm not even trying to be sophisticated or anything like that. But honestly, it's a calling. When I'm in that space at that time, that's what I'm called to do, and I do it with all my heart and soul.
No, it makes perfect sense to me, and I understand exactly what you mean. But sticking to that theme of choosing one, which production or which song, which of all of these made you feel like, you know, I've arrived? Because, Kabo, you know, we do 10,000 things, ne? And it doesn't mean that because now you're on Shaka Zulu and that was your best. And it could have been that you were on stage in Zola somewhere and you gave your best performance, right? And that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking the one that really grabbed people's attention, the one that made you feel like, you know, I've sufficiently arrived and captured the market that I've been seeking to capture.
Sure. I hear what you're asking me. It is that moment where it's almost like an aha moment where you feel like this is what I'm supposed to do, right? So for me, it was in Orlando West Extension. It's Orlando West Extension, and I'm planning in Mrs. Mampuru Street, with my friends, and the fact that people are tuning up. Labantwana bayeza, omunye uphethe amatlazi, utshontsha amatlazi from ekitchen, omunye uphethe isofa, uphethe idoil, lehleli phezu kwesofa to do this and that. And the fact that we did in Miss Mampuru Street and we were small and we made it happen and it was a success. And that's when I knew with my gang, with I guys bafethu
Sangena man.
No, we are entering. So for me, from a very young age, that was an aha moment.
Yeah.
So I've had those. So I had those very young.
Yeah.
But obviously, when you grow up, some things, I always say sometimes you get into a space where you feel this is it, and then you are minimized immediately. And it does happen. How Utabo knows, the craft, you know where you are at.
Yeah.
But because you are in a space that is not controlled by you, they will minimize you so that they can control you. It's an unfortunate situation that happens. So that's why when I work with young people, I always say to them, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's talk about what you felt in the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. Before anyone was able to minimize you, before you were able before they put labels on you.
Yeah.
Because remember, what you are trying to move away from, Tabo, is the whole labeling system. Because the moment you are labeled, is that you work according to the label. That's why I always talk to Ama graduates. You've got a qualification, but you need to extend yourself. That's why a lot of my projects are about developing the skill that's beyond your qualification. Because the moment you want the qualification, you feel like you are locked into it. So I'm trying to break people free, especially young people, break free from just saying you are that label. You are not that label, pen. No matter how people celebrate it, but go beyond it. And that's my whole movement when I talk. I really believe in that.
And it's a tough industry that you're in, extremely tough, and there's a lot of torture, and it's not only your success is not necessarily determined only by your worth, your talent, your excellence. There are variables that determine that, and luck, proximity, and being liked. Yes.
Who you hang out with, and it's got a lot of layers. It's layered, Tabo. It is layered. And also, you run away from being political. You don't want to be political. You just want to do what you do and leave and exit. But now, my whole thing is, there are young people that I'm working with, especially in the Kabulina Foundation, who are dying to be in this industry. Dying to be in it. So my whole thing is to how do we make them different? Because most of the time they come in with the talent, but they're not groomed for the industry. So my mountain to conquer is to groom these kids to understand how the industry works. You will be minimized. You will be labeled. You will be this, but how do you cope with it? We need to do lots of mental work that goes into these kids so that by the time they come in stronger. Because a lot of the kids come in thinking, it's my talent, I'm talented. So we need to say, yes, you are talented, but let's go beyond. Mentally, how are you going to survive and sustain yourself in this industry? How are you going to extend yourself beyond the label that says actor, beyond the label that says singer? How do you extend yourself so that you can become more? And this is why we need different artists that think differently, artists that create differently, so that our industry can change and be able to sustain itself.
Your favorite production? I said Shaka Zulu, but I did a technicality. You were on Shaka Ilembe, but your favorite...
I was about to say, one of the biggest productions. That I can hit you. I mean, but look, you are not wrong, because Vele Ishaka Zulu, we grew up watching Ishaka Zulu and we're inspired by that story. So by the time Bomb Shelter decided to come with Shaka Ilembe, we were all blown. But obviously the nerves, the stress was. And I think if you're asking in terms of one of the most favorite productions, I've worked on so many different productions, but different productions have got different things that trigger me, that make me feel something. For me, Ishaka Ilembe was, because everyone was comparing it to, especially before season 1, to Shaka Zulu.
Yes.
They'll be like, no, Tina Sazi Untombas Loya, Sazi Unandi Loya, Sazi Banyana Loya, which is true. That's who we grew up knowing. So now when you have to come and bring this character to life, it's nerve-wracking, because you don't want to disappoint your audience. Your audience has been following you. They love your work. Now you are coming in and you are turning them away from what they grew up loving. Now you are saying to them, the story is going to be different. It's going to be told by you. It's a little bit tough. So that's why I need to. For me, that's what Bomb Shelter did for me. It made me feel, you know what, let's recreate. And I love spaces, Thabo, where people create. That's why I love talking to you, because you, as we are conversating, you are creating. We are creating moments. We are creating something. Someone is listening out there. If there's a young person listening going, oh, okay, this is something that talks to me. That's us creating. And that's what I love. So that's what it did for me.
You know, Cabo, I'm not buying face at all, but you kill it on everything that you do. In any production that you're involved in, one can sense the emotion, and genuinely so. I'm not getting anything from saying this, but that's what I feel. And I feel like you are one of those people who are genuinely gifted, and it's not social media that made you. It's not you knowing whoever. It's not. I feel the fire burning inside of you, and I'm just wondering, when you are playing a character, how much of it is from your experience, and what element of it comes from the external features, like you had to read up on this, you had to do research, and how do you combine all of that? Because honestly, your on-screen presence leaves everyone blown away.
Or like,
yeah, I want a date for next week.
I mean, you know that we are on air. Like, you know that we are on air. People are listening. Like, you could have said, let's talk on the side. Thabo, you know what? You know, the moment when you were saying this, I'm listening to you, and the way you engage. This is how you've always engaged, Thabo. This is not the first time I hear you speak. Okay, so when you engage, what goes into the process before you engage? You're engaging no Kabonina, right? What went into that? You did your research on what she's done, what went into you engaging. So it's the same thing as, that's why it's with being an artist, we are chameleons, right? We get into a space and we shapeshift, and we feel a certain thing and we move with it. But at the same time, because we are in the space rover, there's a director, there's the sound, there's a lot of things to consider around you. So what makes you a good actor is being able to be directed, is being able to understand the space that you are in. Because if we were allowed to be rebellious and do whatever we felt, I don't think that any production that we work, because I mean, a lot of the people that I've worked with, I mean, our Abdul Kaur, our wise men, they are larger than life, if you know what I mean. So that's why I won't even say to you, Thabo, there's a specific thing that you must do. Mele when the soul, and then you do this. It's never the same for each character. Like when I was on the BET show where I had to play Lebo Matosa's lover, when I had to play Ubongi.
Yes.
Bongi is still alive, and Bongi would come to set. So my process was different, because I've hung with Bongi when we were working the Lebo Matosa. So now me playing her on set, and she's right there. So it's it's almost like it's almost like I felt like she could say to me, but Kabo, you're lying. I didn't do that. Do you know what I mean? So so you always have to be in a different space. I do understand that there's actors who have specific processes, and I've seen them on set, and those processes work for them, right? That's why you can't judge a process. But for me specifically, it's never been now when you're acting you must. It's never been that. It forms itself in me.
Sure.
It formed itself genuinely, yeah.
It's 20 minutes after 10 o'clock, and you're on 702. It's Thabo. I'm in for Clement. It's Workers' Day today, and on the Hanging Out feature, we are speaking to the gifted, the ever-talented Kabonina Kubeka, actress, singer, dancer, choreographer, TV presenter, businesswoman, and many, many other titles that she wears comfortably so. If you'd like to send a text message, a voice note, feel free to do so on 072 702 1702. Alternatively, call us on 011 883 0702. Kawa can talk for hours and hours, especially with you non-stop. But I know that they asked you for some of the songs that you would like to hear. Tell us about the one that you'd like us to play now, and tell us why, because I think you sing, you dance, you act, and music carries a strong element of our spirit.
Yes. It's an era, Thabo. It's an era. It's a moment. Also, as you were praising me, as you were going on about like I also wanted to say, please guys, also because this senior Kutazana Enoch Godongwana these days, Also send a voice note. Ne? If you are feeling Tabo's engagement, send a voice note, WhatsApp us, and just say, Tabo, no, Sam, we love the way you are engaging. Because Tabo, I'm going to tell you now, I've been on so many interviews, whether telephonically or live, and it feels like the host is not engaging with you. You understand? The person can be talking to you, and then they'll be on their phone.
Yeah.
And then I have to remember, of course, I'm not just talking to Tabo, I'm talking to audience. So even if Tabo is on his phone, I have to still remember, there's someone just listening or watching attentively. So Tabo, really, thank you for that. Thank you for being so great. Okay, back to the song. If we're going in order, if we're going chronologically, the way I sent it, look, people do know this. People who know me do know this. Yabona umzwembe.
Yeah.
It was an era of change for me. That was when we were watching Yizo Yizo. That's when we were. I knew Bonkosi, and he would come to the dance class. I'm talking about before Uroni took over.
Yes.
Which he killed as well.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about Bonkosi when he played it first. And
on Yizo Yizo.
On Yizo Yizo, and I remember being nervous. I mean, Ubonkosi Yetuzol.
Yes, of course. No, yes. So, I'm from Dobsonville, so I'm well versed, and that era, I remember it very well.
No, because I get mangimangi to Bonkosi, but So Ubonkosi would come to the dance studio, and I remember he would be there early in the morning. And among the team, so me seeing him as a dancer on the dance floor, and then him, watching the growth, watching him, become this incredible artist. And then by the time Zwembe came out, it was an era for me of, things were changing for me as well at school. I was rebellious. I was like, the president is white, but very soon the president is going to be black. So it's very similar to what you were referring to earlier before we started conversation. Is it better when the president is black or white?
Yeah.
So it was that era, and things were changing, and my hair, like being a rebel, I want to change my hair, I want to do this. So it was an era of finding self. So that song for me has got the beat that makes me want to dance unapologetically. It makes me want to dance, rebel. It makes me forcefully be who I am. So sometimes it happens in life that life is not lifing. Sometimes life is not lifing. But a song like that brings me back to remember why you started coming. Go back, do this. We got you, do this. Yeah.
Yeah, and here it is, Kabo Mzwembe.
Elele yomdlwembe Shale wase yabadoda impeli Yabadoda impeli Mandela be yabadoda impeli Ega satane kosopere Nitikale mdlwembe Ega satane makorere Nitikale kulupa Mandela bukopa mina Shale wase yabadoda impeli Ega nabatelamu Shale wase yabadoda impeli
Mdlembe by Zola. Oh my goodness me, the time. My guest is Carbonina Kubek, and this is her song choice by Zola Mdlembe. Eyamadoda Epheli. What a fantastic song, Cabo. Your ghetto self coming out, all rough and tough, eh?
Like, I remember being bigger when I was smaller.
Yeah.
Mangkhula bengibheka ku-oven. Mangithaba bengibheka ku-oven ngesathi emncane ngijaya athi umakhulu wami, hey maqinase. So as the song is playing now, ngibheke escreen ngiyajaya I'm it again. And my little one, she's 6. Now ngibheka ku-oven. I understand. So it's still there. It's still there. It's still the same, Tabs. Still the same.
Well, before we quickly go to the Eyewitness News headlines, let's read some messages that came through. This one says, please tell Cabo that I'm her number one fan. I'm also her future ex-husband in waiting. I just love her. Can you please ask her to keep up with the physical training motivation? And the other one says, good morning, Tabo, and your guest. What an amazing and wonderful interview. Does your guest do mentoring for young adults? Please ask her. Thank you so much. The next one says, good morning, Tabo. Carbonina is such a humble human being and a free soul. Love her to bits and wish her all the best in life. This is Jabsile from Midrand. All that love for you, Cabo. Do you feel, how do you handle compliments, Cabo? Do you assess it very closely, and do you absorb it with a little perhaps caution that I need to be careful, or do you just let it all in?
You know what? I grew up as an only child. And yet my mother is a single parent. So for me, love is love.
Yeah.
So if you're bringing me love and you are underhanded, you've got issues, or you're bringing me love with a side twist, that's your problem.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
That's all on you. I mean, I'm going to take what I'm feeling from that love. So that's why I don't have time to observe it, to serve, or to check, is this one cutting with it? Really, I genuinely feel it and I take it, and I really, really appreciate it, because it's scarce, Tabo.
Definitely.
You know the world that we live is scarce. So when you get it, you just embrace it. I really appreciate it. Yes, thank you so much.
29 minutes to 11 o'clock. Sfiso Zulu will tell us what's the latest with EWN headlines. Sfiso, hi, good morning again.
Thanks, Tabo. Good morning. We start in Centurion, where police are clearing debris from the Henops River near a low-lying bridge as they comb through the area searching for more evidence into the deaths of 3 officers. While they've discovered a large metal object during this morning's search, they have not revealed whether it belongs to the white VW Polo that the cops were travelling in when they went missing. The bodies of Constables Tebekulu Linda Kiamukhetswe Base and Buipelo Sinoche were recovered from the river this week. We cross now live to Oren Singh, who's at the scene. Oren, a frantic search this morning as police tried to get to the bottom of this case.
Frantic indeed, Sviso, and we see search and rescue members currently in the Henops River. We're based here on N Street in Centurion, just over a few low-lying bridges that run across the river in this area. Search and rescue members currently in the water using rods to prod and feel what they can feel underneath the water. We've got heavy machinery that have been brought in quite late last night and have been taken to this specific area. Winches have been attached to some of this machinery, and they're trying to clear some of the debris that's in front of us here. So there's a large amount of trees that are causing some sort of blockage here. And it's unclear at the moment, like you correctly pointed out, that whether this is the white VW Polo that they've been searching for. Remember, that's the vehicle that these 3 police officers were traveling in while en route from Bloemfontein to Polokwane last week Friday in the early hours of the morning. It's suspected that they crashed into the river. For Eyewitness News, I'm Aaron Singh reporting live from Centurion.
We'll keep you updated on this developing story. Police have discovered another group of Ethiopian nationals at a house in Parkmore in Sandton against their will. The group was found by private security guards while patrolling the area this morning. After hearing people screaming, they've been taken to a local police station. And motorists are being urged to avoid the M1 in Bloemfontein due to a fire under the bridge. Emergency services are there at the scene investigating the cause of the blaze. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, travelling on the N1 South in the city of Tshwane at this moment, we still have got that accident reported right near the Braakfontein interchanges causing delays. Please be on the lookout. And travelling within Centurion, do be on the lookout for some delays reported along several roads, including John Forster Drive, Lenchen Avenue, as well as the Lenchen Avenue as well as Water Avenue. That's due to a race that's taking place within the Centurion area at this moment. If you are traveling in Joburg, specifically the M1 South towards Carr Street, delays coming out of Smith Street. That's due to those fires reported underneath the M1 bridge. And then if you're traveling towards the Mayfair, expect delays on the M2 West between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. I'll have more at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Here at Betway, we're finding every way possible to make sure you can win your next sports bet. With our new Bet Saver feature, you could get your stake back or more on bets with multiple losses. Stand to win, even when your bet misses. Bet Saver. Exclusive to Betway. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. South African Responsible Gambling Program toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Winners know when to stop.
Hi, I'm Dion Free. Winning requires audacity. That's why I joined African Bank and opened a 60-month fixed-term investment account. I'm scoring 12.8% interest at expiry on my investment. How cool is that? You too can join the bank that backs you to grow your money. Pop into a branch near you or visit africanbank.co.za. African Bank. Audacity to believe. African Bank is a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Road crashes cause injuries and death. Take your safety seriously and the safety of others. Fatigue is a silent killer. If you're on the long road, take a break every 2 hours or every 200 kilometers. Remember, buckle up and stay within the speed limit. Don't overtake on a barrier line. Travel during the day, it's safer. Road safety is everyone's responsibility. Ensure that you and your loved ones arrive alive. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
Make every day awesome when you get the new Samsung Galaxy A56 5G from Vodacom, Mzansi's fastest 5G network. Get yours today on a 1.4 gig rate core plan for only 429 Rand per month over 36 months. Enhance your deal when you add 49 Rand extra per month and get the Samsung Galaxy Tab A9. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
24 minutes to 11 o'clock. You're on 702. Thabo in for Clement. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate your interactions. I'll read your text messages a little bit later on and keep sending them through together with your voice notes on 072 702 1702. The Hangout feature, Carbonina Kubeka, is my guest actress, singer, dancer, choreographer, and she does a million other things. And she is speaking to us right now. You might have seen her on various productions on TV. You know her beautiful voice, her dancing, the yoga on social media that she exposes us to. She's just a woman of great talent. Kabo, you know, as we are talking, and I'm asking you this deliberately because there is a strong element of sincerity in what you do. You don't strike me as one of those fake people and who are just doing things for glam. I could be wrong, but that's the vibe that I'm getting from you, right? So there are many other potential budding actors and actresses listening to us right now. There are people who've been pushing. And not necessarily young, maybe our age or so. They've been pushing, but the doors are just not opening. There are people who've been going to auditions. Things are not computing. What do you say to them as someone who's inside, right? What insider information can you give them when someone is thinking, maybe this was not meant for me? And they see you and they love you and they're like, I want to be exactly that. That's where I want to be.
Yeah. So, you know what, Thabo? Things have changed fully. Like the environment is completely different. Because had you asked me this question, like I said, maybe a couple of years ago, I would have said, no, continue, go to auditions and do this and do that. It's not about that anymore, Thabo. So my biggest advice, and I know a lot of people say to me, oh, but Kabonina, I'm talented. This is my craft. I don't have time for social media. You need to have the social media presence. You need to have Bonalabo TikTok because they are going to ask you, you'll be talented. They're still going to say, how many followers does this person have? Right? I was shocked when I first experienced that. When I was actually helping an audition. So someone was auditioning for a part and we all thought this person is fantastic. You know almost when there's an audition when you come in and you assist. I read the lines. I was a line reader for this person because they were going to play along me.
Sure.
And then after this person walked out, we were discussing and I was like, guys, it's an all-brainer. This person is it. This is perfect. This is, then they said, but how many followers does this person have?
Oh my goodness.
I walked out because I didn't understand what is that got to do with the talent. But then later, I brought myself to myself. Okay, Bona, they are seeing more than just the talent. What is the mileage of this person? So as an artist, we need to not just look at ourselves because this is where you're not going to win. You need to look at what are they looking for? So they're looking for, do you have social media presence? Do you engage with the people that are watching you? Because it's not just about the fact that you are talented when I talk. And unfortunately, that's it. So the talented one say to me, I don't have time for social media, Kabonina. I'm honing my craft. You need to, granted, but get someone who's going to do social media for you, even if they post for you once a week. And you need to show a different side of you. Maybe even put your monologues, on TikTok. Or because these days you've got, look at your what's this, Ubabalo, with the one that does his routines, wakes up at 4 a.m. Ashford Hill.
Yes.
Hill, something like that.
Yes.
And look at I think it's Kabi, the guy that doesn't say a word, but now he's doing goals and all of that. So there's different platforms to use. So don't just rely on being accepted by. That's why it goes back to what I said to you earlier, Thabo. It's an industry that they are in control of. So you are going into their world. They have the right to decide if you are good enough for them or not. They've got the right to decide Namhlanje they're not in the mood for seeing someone like you. So they are in control of the world that you want to go into. So what I'm saying is that give yourself another branch. You look at a tree, give yourself a branch, have your own little space. Social media, use the TikTok, do your skits on TikTok. Facebook is monetizing now. You can do fantastic skits on Facebook, do a story that all of us can follow and get on there. Do it on social media because you are in control of your social media space. Let them catch up when they see the hype. Then they'll be like, oh, okay, this is great. Because really, Thabo, you're going to be frustrated if you're going to rely on the one in one area. So this is another thing that the Kabonina Foundation is doing. I'm training these young people who don't just rely on when I finish school, I'm going to audition. I'm saying to them, from school, I did that in primary school. I was in trouble, Thabo. They said to me, I'm talking too much. I talk too much. How dare I talk too much at assembly? That was just blasphemy. I talk too much at assembly. So what they did, Thabo, is that as punishment, when you go in a black school, when I went to a black school, like Kata Combined Alexander, back shy for being that. But when you go to a white school, they put you on stage in front of everyone. That's punishment. Take a stage in. So when everyone goes into assembly, you stand there, and that's punishment. I was like, fantastic. I love this punishment. Then I proposed, get up. I said, okay, when it's Easter, can I do like a little Easter play? When it's Valentine, can I do this? So I started performing using my getting into trouble as something that I used to get myself out there as a performer. And then that's when they started recognizing me at school for, we've got a play for fame, please come through and all of that. So I created it for myself, Tab. You need to, because we are that, as people, we are so powerful. We don't realize the power that we possess. So abadala lababalingana nathi iyangena besiphuma on the other side, because they've been through so much trauma. They've been so minimized. They've been so unseen. So it becomes very painful with them. But the young ones, that's why I'm starting them from little grade ones. We're going to start understanding who you are, start crafting it for yourself now. So that by the time you get to a stage where you know you are talented, start creating your own things. Let them catch up.
Sure.
When they catch up.
072 702 1702.
Tibos, thank you for bringing me my crush to the studio, my brother. That's my crush you're talking to.
And we have so many text messages of people saying that you're their crush, Kabo. I become so jealous because
it's a problem. That's why how they do this.
Exactly. Because at some point, I was your crush. At some point in my life, I remember many, many years, about 2,000 years ago, when I worked at KFM and you came to Mas Chaba's show on a Sunday.
Oh my God.
And I was a producer at the time on the other side of the window. And yes.
I looked you up every age you are cheating.
Yeah, and then you said to Mas Chaba asked you if you've got a boyfriend, and you said, no, I don't, but I'm happy to go out with your producer there. I was like, good shot. That's my chance. I've been waiting for this all my life. There we go.
Listen, please tell them I crush them back. It really means a lot. Because,
yes.
And sometimes it's also how you analyze it. Because some people, a lot of, some ladies will be like, "Ooh, these guys are saying like they're crush. It's disrespectful." And I'm like, no, actually, it's appreciated.
Yes.
It's just formed in a different way. But I take it as someone saying you're my crush. I take it as a compliment and an appreciation.
Yeah.
And I get that. It's natural. It's normal.
Yeah.
But when someone says, "Yo, you're my crush," even I've got wives saying to me, "Yo, my husband has got such a crush on you." You know, those kinds of things. So that's why for me, it's an appreciation. It's not. I don't take it as anything that is underhanded or rude until bangena guthi embe sebaviza ama-body parts. That's where we are.
Yeah. Khona abanye la who are also equally naughty, and they've sent some text messages. And this one comes from Jobe Soprano in Orlando. And Jobe says, "Except Tabo and the voluptuous Carbonina, see why I say he's naughty." And it says, I could say so many things about this beautiful human being, Carbonina, but I'm only going to ask one question in 2 parts. But if she's not comfortable to speak about this, it's all good. Whatever happened, if she's free to talk about it, to the litigation case she had with a private clinic with where she lost her placenta. Apologies if it's too personal, but the story was public knowledge. And he is asking also a second question where he's saying, why was it important for her to bring her baby's placenta back home with her? Can she educate listeners on the significance of mothers and black families in general, safeguarding their children's placenta? Thank you so much for the talent. I listen on the radio. Jobe Soprano in London, Orlando.
Yo, Jobe Soprano, thank you so much for bringing me back to this. So, Tabo, 2 things. Number 1, because especially black women, and not just in South Africa, globally, they don't understand the concept of the placenta. They don't understand what the placenta was meant for, what the placenta can do for you as a woman. It's meant for you. A lot of the women go through postnatal depression. So if you're going through that kind of thing, or maybe you had some complications, you can have your placenta is meant for you to ingest so that it makes you feel better. So there's a lot of studies that went into this. There's placenta capsulation, so people are making money with your placentas. You know, so it's too big. It's too big to go into. That's why I realized, by the way, Kabo, you're a black female in South Africa. You can't push this because you're not getting support, and you are hitting a wall each time. Because I did get a lot of people saying we can support you, we can go ahead with it. But then I realized, in this country, as a black woman, without getting the right support, you won't go far because this is making them money. So my whole concept was, a whole show. I had a whole show prepared, which is why I signed an agreement to please save my placenta, because I wanted to go through an education with women to understand the concept of that. So I really appreciate him for asking the question. And I really did. I think it was about 6 years ago, I was really fired up to go into it. But years later, I think I just realized it's one of those things where unfortunately you won't win, because this is a money maker. It's a money maker. It's a money maker globally. So we are not supposed to know that there's an option to save your placenta, because your placenta they profile you, they study you, and they look at your mechanisms, and then they can decide where your placenta will go, which part of the world, what can they do with it. So it's a huge world, and I tapped into something that was not a comfortable something for some people.
Sure.
So I decided, Kabo, choose life and to choose, and that's what I went into. So please thank him for that.
Sure. There are different battles to fight, Kabo. Some you decide that, listen, it's really not worth it. I could fight, but it's really not worth it. And you can't go through life fighting every single battle that has offended you, people who offend you. There'll be so many other things. So you'll never actually live your life if you're fighting every single battle that comes your way.
Thank you for that, Thabo. You're right. Thanks for that.
There's a text from Lerato in Remsech. She says, Cabo is the best. She's just so flawless. Love her so much. Please tell her. Very talented lady and so genuine. And that element of sincerity comes out. And she's saying that you're flawless. I would like to find out from you, who is a flawless, iconic figure or figures that you look up to, that you grew up to, and that you were witnessing as you were growing up when Akabo, and you thought, I just love that person's craft. And you said we must share that liberally because, credit is scarce these days. And for you, who's that person, or who are those people who are killing it?
Thabo, I love the word. I mean, the word flawless. Ne? I mean, obviously, Beyonce number one band, which is flawlessness. Because I started going into what is flawless. Because I mean, it's the same as what's perfect. Because when they say imperfection is perfection, imperfection is perfect. And I'm also very careful with these, because I work with young people. I work in so many different elements. It's the same thing as when the whole men are trash thing started erupting.
Yes.
I had young boys coming to me saying, "Sis Kabonina, am I trash?" Do you understand? So you have to be very careful with how you deal with these subjects. So for me, flawlessness is coming with your flaws, but it's how you carry yourself. Because I don't believe, you see, that's why we go back to labels. I don't believe in labels, Thabo. I don't believe, and it goes to even name Basha. That's why it's China, China, but exposed today, relax. Hey, Sabonga, China. Yo, wow, gosh, they must hey, yo, leave us, please. Leave us, Thabo, leave us, then they leave us. So then it goes back to the labels. So someone that I grew up looking up to is my mother. I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
This woman has looked good all her life. Even today, when I show a picture of my mother, oh my God. But not just in terms of how she looks. She did programs, my mom. So I would wake up in the morning, but your mother is gone to jail. Wait, before you get crazy. She was teaching rehabilitation programs in prison. She was, your mother went to jail. Yeah, that's why that's why she's like this. You are waiting for the drop. No, but it should be. She's going to prison because she's a musician. She studied music. She studied opera. She would go to prisons especially Luke up prison is where she went.
Yes.
She started doing rehabilitation programs with prisoners. So she would go engage with them. They would talk about, their crime or whatever they feel like they want to talk about. Then she'd say, put it in a song or write it down or anything. Like she would, and for me, I was young. But my mother going into prison like almost every week, to engage with these prisoners was mind-blowing. And then after that, she started working with the youth. She started doing music with them. A lot of them are some of your known artists. They've been through her sessions, and then I went to watch her in the choir. She was performing with the Drakensberg choirs, the Philharmonic Oratorio. And then at the same time, there were issues where, for example, we would have a fight, we would have a fallout, and then Askul Misani and all of those things. So all of these things are part of flawlessness for me. So I still see her flawless with all of this. Because for me, being genuine, Thabo, me sing Thabo Akhuzugile and then me sing Thabo in a suit, that's flawlessness.
Yeah.
That's flawlessness for me, because we are not one thing. We are not one layer.
Certainly.
It's important for I think it's important for people to understand. So it's certainly her, because of everything that she's done, everything that she's been through. Even today, she still goes to Hillbrow, she still teaches these kids because there's something that's tugging at her to do this. She's called for it, and she's amazing with kids.
Sure.
And then there's me with the grandkid, and then she's just amazing with her.
Yeah.
But for me, when I to answer your question, flawlessness is that, and it's definitely been her for all these years.
Certainly, certainly, and it's very important to look to people who are around you for role modeling and looking up to them. Very, very important, because someone who's out there. Yeah.
You're gonna say who Beyonce, then you discover ukuthi kanti under the Guinness what bebahamba underground bagqoka ama-caves buying that. So you know what I mean. So I'd rather have it, even with when I talk to young people, ukuthi look, follow someone that you feel you can is real. This thing of following just for the sake of following doesn't make sense. So even on social media, even on your TikTok, follow someone that you genuinely feel communicate with you, even if it's someone in your community, but there's role models that are around you. It doesn't have to be that far out.
And putting the role modeling thing on the side, Kabo, I grew up loving radio with all my heart, and I looked up to certain individuals, and I loved the craft that they did and how they did it. And my question now is about that. Are the people that you see on screen, locally and internationally, and you say, listen, I enjoy really what Denzel is doing. I love how he does what he does, and do you have those individuals in your life?
So listen, Thabo. This gives me goosebumps all the time. There is a character. I mean, look, we are each other's fans in this industry. I mean, I can tell you from Oleratum Velase to Ogobonabo Wiseman to Abu. I mean, my bold queen, my Xhosa queen. I love her. I love her work and all of that. So we are each other's fans, if I can put it that way.
Yes.
But now there is a young boy. I don't know where he's been on. I haven't seen anything else, but I experienced him on set. He plays the character Mzilikazi. He's going to play the character Mzilikazi. He walked in on set. The guy slightly yellow, like yellow ponish.
Okay.
But when he's on that set, when he does his thing, because of the character.
I hear you.
I enjoy him. Can I tell you what? I'm even at a point where, like, even on set, I would say, we would have to travel about 45 minutes to the gate. But because I am in awe of the thing he does. I'm in awe of how he interprets it, how he sees it. And it's not a lot of moments. I mean, look, Wiseman does it for me. Wiseman, like, he is such a selfless actor. What Wiseman did on, and then not just moments where he's acting with me. I see things where I'm not involved, like where he takes the character and what he does on season 2. What I was like, I thought season 1 was enough. What are you doing on season 2? What he does on season 2? And I'm a fan. I'm such a fan of this man's work. So for me, it's that. I think when I love newness. I could say your Viola Davis, your Meryl Streep and all of that. But I love newness. I love discovery. So seeing this young boy play Mzilikazi, it's, for me, that's a skill being developed. And I'm interested in seeing where he's going to take this, how far. Because there's already people saying, Kabunina, we hope the story goes into this, we beat Mzilikazi. And I just say to them, guys, the guy who plays Mzilikazi and what he does with this character is going to blow you away. And that's why something, skills development is so important.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things that I'm doing. I mean, I met an incredible mentor in the Jeffreys Bay area. There's a school, Jeffreys Bay Academy.
Yes.
I'm interested in this woman in Renette Matia, because she started a school from a dining room, from her lounge. She started with 2 students. Today she's got an entire school. She's got, so she's huge in that, and that's a mentor for me. That's someone that develops skills now, and that's what she does.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in people who do that. I'm interested in saying, I mean, Thabo is great. Thabo's got a craft. You are great on radio. What is Thabo doing? Is Thabo developing someone else unawarely, or are you aware that someone that's you and there's someone that is just so blown away by you? So I'm always interested in the newness. In what are we doing? Who are we seeing? What are we finding amazing? So I'm sorry that I didn't answer your question.
No, you did. No, listen, there isn't. No, there isn't any predetermined response, right? Because it wouldn't be a discussion. And I love your sincerity. We're having a chat and we're having a sincere conversation. So there isn't any specific right answer that I'm looking out for. Kobo, let's go to the voice notes quickly.
Good morning, 702. Good morning, Tabo. Good morning, Kabo.
Hi.
AKA Mrs. Miyagi. Works on, works off. I love the work that she's doing. Please carry on. Shine the light. You're the torch that shines. Thank you, Kabo.
Wow.
Bye.
Wow.
Tapelo from Protea North.
Oh,
And
that is huge.
Yeah. And tell us quickly about yoga before we say goodbye. Where did you meet it?
So can I talk about the fact that it's a movement, Tabo?
Sure.
So when you go back to the beginning of it, and there was a slight tension when I spoke about this before it was X, when it was Twitter, about the fact that in Kemet, there were people who moved in certain ways. So then I said, so it looks like the origins of this thing that's now called a yoga also could have started in North Africa, in Kemet. And there was an argument, no, it's not from there. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to point out how similar we are in terms of how we move.
Sure.
So the more I go into it, I mean, I've been moving my body in a certain way, but the term yoga is a term that's been termed by someone or by a body of people. So that's why I'm calling it a movement.
Sure.
It's a movement because your body is a machine. Your body does so many different things.
Yes.
Because I've learned over the years sometimes when I want to go and work in schools, when you say yoga, you rub other people the wrong way. So you be careful in terms of what you're calling it, because it's not a religious practice per se, but because it has so many layers. That's why for me it's a movement. Your body is a machine. It's meant to move.
Kabo, you're going to kill me. We're flat out of time. You think that an hour is such a long time up until you speak. It's gone. It's gone. I didn't even play 3 of your songs.
I know, Tabo, I'll trade the songs for you anytime. I'll trade songs with you.
You are too sweet. You're too sweet. Thank you for talking to us. Thank you so much. I really mean it. You've been amazing. You are fabulous. I hope that the heavens open their blessings to you, Kabo, and keep rising from strength to strength. All the best to you.
Thank you, Tabo. Thank you to the listeners and for all your messages. I love you with all my heart and soul. Thanks, Tabo.
Kabo Nina Kubega, actress, dancer, choreographer, TV presenter, and businesswoman.
In just 10 years, over 850 million winners have shared more than 31 billion rand with the National Lottery. That's not a dream, that's real money, won by real people, right here in Mzansi. So the question is, why not you? The next winner could come from your hometown. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Handa, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
What is bold? Is it design that keeps you intrigued from every angle? Is it style that breaks all boundaries? Is it a perspective that changes your perspective? For the Jetor Dashing, it's all of that and more. Get into the bold new Jetor Dashing from only 4,999 per month and feel what bold feels like. Book a test drive at jetor.coza. T's and C's apply. Jetor. Drive your future.
The Checkers Hyper Price Drop is here. Save up to 40% on deals like Simba chips, 120 grams, any 5 for 75 rand. Save 25 rand. Coca-Cola, Sprite, Stony or Fanta cold drink, 300 ml, any 24 pack for 129 rand. And HTH granular chlorine, 15 kg for 699.99. Save 150 rand. Deals valid for 1 week only until 4 May 2025. Visit your nearest Checkers Hyper or shop on 6060.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult, day 3247. My financial advisor asked if I was expecting any inheritance. I said, I don't have a trust fund, but I trust that funds will find their way to my bank account. He was not amused.
Recently removed from the family payroll? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Eyewitness News is brought to you by Momentum. Go big or go live within your means. The right advice depends on your context. Contact Momentum Accredited Advisor today. Momentum is a part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. We start in the west of Johannesburg, where an operation is underway to retrieve the body of a child which was spotted floating in a dam in Roodepoort. The body was located by community members who've been searching for a missing 3-year-old in the area this week. Mojalifa Savuuli was last seen on Sunday at a local sports field near his family home. And after police retrieve the body from the water, the process to identify the remains will get underway. Community member Mthokozisi Ndabandaba says the family of the missing boy has also been called to the scene.
The child's mother is here. The family is here. It is the child. The clothes he was wearing are the same clothes on the body.
In Centurion, the search for a vehicle that 3 officers were travelling in when they went missing has moved to another area this morning. Police earlier were clearing debris in the Hanops River near a low-lying bridge. Constables Tebekulu Linda Kiamukhetswe Base and Boipelo Sinoche were recovered from the river this week. Oren Singh is there and joins us now live. Oren, we believe that you've moved to another area of the search operation this morning.
Correct, so it seems like, and while it's still a bit early to tell whether that was false information of that large metal object that police had detected, they have regrouped at the Joint Operational Center, which they set up probably about 5 kilometers away from where we were earlier. But we're still unclear what the plan is going forward. As far as we understand, search and rescue groups are planning to regroup now and plot a way forward. Remember yesterday's FISO, they recovered a front bumper and a back bumper of a white VW Polo. And it's still early to tell whether it belongs to that vehicle they've been searching for, that the officers were in. Those parts of that vehicle have been sent to VW for some sort of verification process to take place. But for now, we're sitting ducks and we're waiting for the next movement from search and rescue members. For Eyewitness News, I'm Oren Singh reporting live from Centurion.
Police have discovered 44 Ethiopian nationals at a house in Sandton, allegedly kept against their will. The group was found by private security guards in Parkmore while patrolling the area this morning when they heard people screaming. They've been taken to a local police station. Police say 17 minors were among the group of the illegal immigrants this morning at the house in Parkmore, and it's not clear at this stage how long the group has been there or how they arrived in South Africa. And motorists are being urged to avoid the M1 in Braamfontein due to a fire under the bridge. Emergency services are at the scene investigating the cause of the blaze. This comes exactly a year after city power cables were set on fire by thieves on the M1 highway double-decker section bridge. The Johannesburg Metro Police Department has urged motorists who are already on that route to be patient. Spokesperson Ekurhuleni Fihla.
2 lanes on the M1 South are closed after the Smith Street exit in Braamfontein due to a cable fire under the overpass. City of Johannesburg Emergency Management Services and Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department are on scene.
Gold is trading at $3,233.33 an ounce. The rand is at 18.63 to the dollar, 24.77 to the pound, 21.06 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $61.11 a barrel.
As you heard on Eyewitness News, motorists are being advised to try and avoid the M1 North at this moment, the M1 South rather. At this moment, we've got delays between Empire Road and Carr Street due to the fires underneath the M1 bridge. Please try to avoid at all costs. If you're traveling in Lanseria at this moment, some delays reported on the N14 South. This is between Malibongwe Drive and the Bearsnodie Drive exit.
A partly cloudy workers' day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 23 degrees. The developing story in Eyewitness News this hour. An operation is underway to retrieve the body of a child which was spotted floating in a dam in Roodepoort.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
They say the early bird catches the worm. Great advice, unless you're the worm. Generic so-called wisdom doesn't work for everyone. So I settle for a financial plan that's one size fits some. Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to get to really know your unique situation. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
You're on 702. I'm Thabo, in for Clement. Thanks very much for joining us. It's 7 after 11. Welcome. Great having you with us on the 1st of May, which is a Workers' Day holiday in South Africa. We are excited to have you with us. And the rights of workers are at the fore of our mind, particularly today, given that there are various dynamics working against an ordinary worker who is a backbone of a South African economy. And often we are at loggerheads, employers and employees trying to iron out things that pull us apart, and we should be working towards working together. So on this very significant day, it's lovely having you with us. We started off at 9 o'clock with an open line, and we spoke about various other issues, including South Africa having a white president, workers' rights, how much do you earn? We went on the second hour to reflect on the beautiful career and amazing times of Kawunina Kubeka, who is a businesswoman and actress, a star in South Africa. We had a lovely chat with her, and we could not even play some of her other songs that she had requested because time just flew by, and it does that when you're having fun. And in this hour, we will look at something extremely serious, especially given that the caseload in our courts is very, very high. It could be that you are a litigant right now in court and you are thinking that things are taking far longer than they should. Well, it's because the load is high. A lot of people are engaging the courts and seeking various forms of assistance, justice, and help. In some instances, we know that some cases have been on the roll for as long as 5 to 10 years, and they are yet to be concluded. And we'll touch on that in the dialogue today. And the dialogue is a feature that Clement has every Thursday between 11 and 12 o'clock, where guests are invited to ventilate on serious issues such as this one. And today we are asking, should civil cases go through mediation before trial to reduce the caseload? And the bottleneck is too stuffed right now, so to speak. So we need other ways. And you'd remember that the Judge President of Gauteng Division of the High Court, Dustin Mlambo, has issued a directive making mediation mandatory for civil cases before trial. And the directive seeks to curb the high caseload in our courts, and the Gauteng division faces a severe backlog in civil trial matters, with trial dates currently being allocated as far ahead as 2031. And you do know that we are in 2025, right? So about 6 years ahead. So the directive compels parties to attempt mediation, thereby reserving court time for matters requiring judicial adjudication. However, some legal practitioners have warned that this directive could significantly delay and be a barrier to justice, as some will exploit it and some may undermine this process. Nonetheless, I think there is a strong sense of benevolence in what the Judge President of Gauteng Division had put on the table. I'll introduce my guests in a short while, but feel free to engage with us on text messages, voice notes, and just calling and asking my guests those questions as to how this will truly work. It will have a bearing on all of us, and then we should be interested in knowing how it will work and what are the pros and cons. How do you even start? What if someone is abusing it? What if you are litigating on a civil matter against a huge corporation or a government department? Will they not exploit this method? Will they not exploit mediation? And what happens if you can't reach a conclusion at mediation where everyone else is just steadfast and on their issues and they don't want to move at all? 011 883 0702 011 883 0702. Alternatively, send a voice note or a text message to 072 702 1702.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
And Advocate Justin Erasmus is the chair of the Personal Injury Plaintiff Lawyers Association, also known as PIPLA. Advocate Justin Erasmus joins us right now on the line. Thank you so much for your time, Advocate Justin. Welcome to 702.
Good morning, Tabo. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for making time, especially on a public holiday. Mbegezeli Benjamin, Research and Advocacy Officer at Judges Matter, who needs no introduction at all. He's a regular, or we should call him a co-presenter here at 702. Mbegezeli, hi, welcome.
Good morning, Tavin. Good morning to Advocate Justin and McIntosh, and happy Workers' Day to all hard workers in South Africa.
Yeah, I'm just pulling your leg. Don't take me through a civil litigation process. McIntosh Polela, spokesperson for the Road Accident Fund, is also on the line. McIntosh, great chatting to you. Welcome.
Good morning, my lord, and good morning to the panel members as well as your listeners.
Great, thank you.
Morning, McIntosh.
Yeah, now that I've established that we have all of you on a very clear line, I think let's just kick it off without any further ado. Advocate Justin, maybe let's start with you. What do you make of what the Judge President had put on the table and this directive? Do you see it as being a way forward to reducing the backlog, let alone the backlog, but does it have merit in somehow resolving various social disputes of a civil nature?
Well, Tabo, it's a very complex thing. And let me start by saying, I think there's one thing that all of us here this morning will agree on, in fact, all South Africans, is we need to do something to reduce the waiting times in our courts. If we can, later on, we can get into what the Moseneke Commission said, and there are various other mechanisms we could also look at. But specifically regarding mediation, there are two problems that arise from this directive specifically. The first one is a wider, more principled problem. Judge Mlambo has issued a directive which is essentially unlawful. He's making a law, which he cannot do by means of a practice directive. The directive clashes specifically with Rule 41A, which says mediation is voluntary. You can't, in our hierarchy of laws through a directive, make a law. There are two applications, currently urgent applications pending before the Concourt to deal with that issue, and we'll hear what the Concourt says about that. So I'd prefer to move on to away from whether it's lawful and what he's done is lawful or not. I'll come back to it if you want me to, but there's what we say is the bigger issue is the way that this directive will be implemented. You must understand that the numbers are staggering. In the second half of this year, for example, there's probably about 8,000 matters on the roll in North and South Gauteng together. Those people are all plaintiffs that have been waiting for years to get that trial date. Most of them have been waiting since about 2021. They are going to lose those trial dates without a shadow of a doubt. Mm-hmm. The directive says if you don't mediate and have a certificate of outcome. And remember, a mediation process takes about a month and a half in terms of the directive. If you don't have a certificate of outcome lodged 7 days prior to your trial date, you will lose that trial date. You won't even get into court. Now we sit with a situation where plaintiffs are adapting to, I beg your pardon, to a new system. The Road Accident Fund, and my heart goes out to the Road Accident Fund because they've really been placed in an impossible situation here. They have to create internal structures within their organization, and Mr. Polela can tell us about this. Internal structures within their organization. They've got to staff those internal structures. They've got to integrate those structures with their existing systems, and then they've got to start wading through all of these demands to mediate. I know of about 8,000 or 9,000 that have been served just for the next few months. I'm aware of responses because I get feedback from our members of 1 or 2 responses from the Road Accident Fund saying they declined to mediate. But those are special cases where there's a clash with the board notice and it's a foreigner's claim. Again, McIntosh can perhaps talk to that if he wishes to. But there's not been a single case where they've said we are ready to mediate on this matter. Not a single case. Might be somewhere outside of our members, but of the thousands I have access to, there's not been one.
Sure.
If you have a term starts on 22 July, we have no time. People who are going to lose their trial dates, and we say that it's a terrible infringement upon a victim of a road accident fund who's been waiting for years for his trial date.
And we'll come to McIntosh momentarily. But first, Mbegezeli, Benjamin, let's come to you. As people who are really consumed in the justice system and as an element of the ecosystem of our justice system that is truly interested in in advocacy, to what extent does this lift or seek to lift the pressure over a court system that is heavily burdened? And is it your impression that this will positively augur with the spirit of speeding up justice?
Well, Thabo, I'd like to echo a few points that Advocate Justin made, which is that the main aim of the justice system or the judiciary is to make sure that people get justice as quickly as possible. If a case needs to be resolved through a court process, it should happen as quickly as possible. You can't wait many years for you to come in front of a judge. Now, the situation that we're facing currently is that we just don't have enough judges. We don't have enough courts for the kind of population that we have and the kind of litigation that happens, particularly in Gauteng. I mean, since 2009, in Pretoria and Johannesburg, we've only had about 82 judges. So more than 15 years later, we still have the same number of judges. And if you look at the population of Gauteng, in 2009, it was 10 million people. In 2025, it is almost 16 million people. And that population is still served by the exact same number of judges. And so the system is under humongous pressure. We know that even the budget allocation to the judiciary has been declining for a number of years. There was a small bump last year, but it hardly is fixing the problem. So fundamentally, we need more resources allocated to the judiciary. So that's the first point. Secondly, we need to, we need to utilize the resources that we have efficiently. And this is how we see this mediation directive. It is certainly not the silver bullet to solve the problem, but what it intends really is to try and sort of be a bandage to essentially a gunshot wound. And what the attempt is to do is to try and weed out some of the cases to ensure that only those cases that really do need to come before a judge are resolved before a judge. How that is done, I think, is where the huge controversy is. And there are questions about the judge president's directive being legal or not. And there are real questions about what prejudice it will have on people who have been waiting in court as plaintiffs and those who still have trial dates coming up. But the main issue really is that we need more resources allocated to the judiciary, and the resources that we have, we need to find a much more efficient way of using them.
Before we go on to McIntosh Polela Mbegezeli, what do you make of the resources being injected into the mediators as anticipated by Judge President in Gauteng? Because that would simply mean that load will continue to be in the queue if we do not get more mediators, more resources, and of course facilities to reduce that particular backlog. Isn't it counterproductive?
Look, mediation, I think, as a practice is good. I mean, in most jurisdictions around the world. So mediation is the go-to. I mean, in the US, almost 90% of all cases are mediated and only a few go to trial because they have very complex jury trials. And so mediation as a practice is not bad. The main concern really in South Africa and with this directive is that mediation will sort of require additional expenditure.
Yes.
So people who have their cases in court, they have to now pay extra to go to a private mediator for them to before they even come before a judge. So that is the concern, because now people who have already been waiting, like Advocate Justin says, have been waiting for 2 years, now have to go through an additional process that costs them more money for them to come before a judge. So that, I think, is the concern, even though on principle it does seem that mediation may assist in sort of trying to resolve some of the cases. It certainly won't deal with all of the cases, but it will go some way in resolving them. The only issue, I think, is the cost, and I think just the additional step. But also, what the Judge President said in his statement on releasing the directive was to say a lot of the cases are settled. He said 80% of the cases are settled on the first day of the trial. And then that means that there needs to be a conversation about why that is happening. And I read from one of the court papers is that the RAF has a policy that it can only begin settlement discussions only when you have a trial date in hand. And maybe that is a conversation that would help. I'd love for Mr. Polela to clarify that issue, because that, I think, is the key question that needs to be asked. Is it efficient for people to first go through the court process, get a trial date before they can even begin this process of settlement discussion with the Road Accident Fund?
And he'll jump into that in a short while. But first, Macintosh, you've been listening very carefully and closely to your two other interlocutors. I'm interested in finding out from you as ref. I don't want to call you guys culprits, but I would want to call you the significant contributors in various civil cases in South Africa. Does this directive come as a much needed relief to you?
Good morning again. We, right off the bat, when the announcement was made by the Honorable Judge, welcomed the intervention. However, there are pros and cons in this. As my honorable friends have mentioned, you know, there are hoops that one has to go through. Mr. Benjamin took the words out of my mouth by saying that 80% or more of our cases, when it comes to the Road Accident Fund, are done through a settlement. That settlement is done at the steps of the court before you even see a judge. And then you ask yourself, why were they not done in the first place? But that mediation or that settlement comes after years of the two parties going back and forth. I have in my emails since the announcement was made, and I do get copied by some of the lawyers, an interest in entering into some kind of mediation and a settlement. So you can see that there's an appetite with the lawyers, but as Advocate Erasmus has mentioned, there are a lot of difficulties when one looks or zeroes into the details. And so it's not a silver bullet. And I think I heard one of the panel members mentioning it. We welcomed it and we still do welcome it. However, I need to correct something. Look, we do welcome discussions about settlements even before the cases are we get a trial date. The difficulties that we have is I think we need to get the two parties, both the RAF and the lawyers, to do better when it comes to the discussions. Advocate Erasmus correctly mentioned that the staffing of the Road Accident Fund doesn't allow enough cases to be settled before the court. So there's a lot of work that would have to be done for the intervention by the Honorable Judge President to be able to succeed. But on the whole, we do, accept the mediation, and we do. Let me mention that we do feel sorry for the people that have closed dates, that they were hoping that these dates are finally going to bring finality to their cases after waiting for, in some cases, many years. And that is where it's going to be problematic. But where we stand on the whole, we do welcome the intervention.
Perhaps before we dispense of this issue, Macintosh, Mr. Benjamin alluded, as you have touched on it slightly, the matter of the trial date being important or significant. Is it mandatory for you as RAF prior to the commencement of the mediation effort?
Look, if a lawyer, if Advocate Erasmus has a client that off the bat wants to enter into settlement negotiations or by way of mediation, I mean, there's no way that we would say no to that. I mean, there are a lot of lawyers, as I said in my inbox, that have said we want to enter into a process of mediation or settlement negotiations. It happens all the time. We wouldn't say no to it.
Okay. It's 27 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thanks very much for joining us. You're on 702 there. This is Thabo in for Clement. We're on the dialogue and we are asking, should several cases go through mediation before trial to reduce the caseload of various courts? And this is all on the backdrop of Judge President Dunstan Mlambo of Gauteng Division, who has issued a directive making mediation mandatory for several cases before trial. We have various issues of disputes in society. You could be in a civil issue with someone and you've been waiting for a date of trial. It's taking far long due to the backlog that the courts are experiencing. Begizeli, Benjamin alluded to the fact that, amongst others, we do not have a great number of judges. We do not have courts to facilitate these, or at least sufficient courts to facilitate those dispute resolution mechanisms through the judiciary. And I'm wondering, how long have you been waiting for? And would you welcome the fact that mediation directive is now on top of the table? Is it something that you would consider, or would you still prefer or insist on going before a judge on such matters? I would love to hear from you. And what has your experience been? 011-883-0702. 011-883-0702. Alternatively, you can call us and engage my guests on 011-883-0702, alternatively 072-702-1702. And just to recap, my guests, Advocate Justin Erasmus, who's the chair of Personal Injury Plaintiff Lawyers Association, Mbegezeli Benjamin, Research and Advocacy Officer at Judges Matter, and Macintosh Polela, spokesperson for the Road Accident Fund, which also contributes largely to the backlog and not through any of your fault, I would like to assume, Macintosh. I will be engaging some of the messages that we are receiving right now, but first I do need to take the Eyewitness News headlines, but maybe, gentlemen, just to give you a sense of the questions that we are getting, let me just read one or two. The first says, good morning. I think that every lawyer involved, past and present, in the RAF should be investigated. There is, in many cases, a very corrupt connection. This comes from Anonymous. The judge president claims there is a settlement rate of 85%. Do they have stats and date to support this? The OCJ denied a prior request to provide the profession with this data on 29 April 2025 as we deny this settlement rate. It is more likely 10 to 15% are settled. We'll get to those questions and maybe reflecting on those, gentlemen, in a short while. But for now, it's exactly 11:30. And Mbali Dlamini will tell us what's the latest on Eyewitness News headlines. Mbali, welcome. Good morning.
Thanks, Tabo. A very good morning. Well, we begin in Centurion, where police believe they may have now found the vehicle in which 3 officers were traveling in when they went missing. Emergency service teams have been wading through the Henops River near a low-lying bridge where the bodies of the cops were found this week. The bodies of Constables Gqebekhulu Keamogetswe Base and Boipelo Senoge were recovered after they were reported missing. Oren Singh, our EWN reporter, joins us live now from the scene. Oren, can you take us through the latest developments?
We've been back now at the N1 highway near the bridge that crosses the Henops River. This was the initial scene where police believe the vehicle that these 3 police officers were traveling in crashed off and plummeted into the Henops River. Police sources tell us they're 99% sure they've located the vehicle. We were at a scene a bit earlier downriver, about 5 to 7 kilometers downriver a bit earlier. Police were trying to release some of a blockage that was located in that portion of the river. That's brought the water levels quite a bit down at the moment in Bali, making it a lot easier for search and rescue guys to get into the water and kind of prod around and figure out where this vehicle may be. Right now, there's a police chopper just circling above head. Police are bringing in heavy machinery here now to try and retrieve this vehicle from the river. But it seems like they're on point this time in Bali and they've found it. For Eyewitness News, I'm Orange Singh reporting live from Centurion.
And in another developing story that we are keeping a close eye on this morning, an operation is underway to retrieve the body of a child which was spotted floating in a dam in Roodepoort in the west of Joburg. The body was located by community members who have been searching for a missing 3-year-old in that area. Mojalefa Sabudi was last seen on Sunday in a local sports field near his family home. Those are the headlines, this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Let's start off in Centurion with an accident along the N1 North. It happened near Border Avenue. Delays from the Brackfontein interchange. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. Travelling in Irene, some delays on Main Road towards Nell Napier's Drive. That's due to faulty traffic lights there. Please approach the section as a stop sign and drive with care. If you are travelling on the M1 South towards Braamfontein, delays between Empire Road and Car Street. That's due to those fires reported underneath the M1 bridge. And there's also queuing traffic along the M2 West. This is between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. Please drive with care. We'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Honey, what are you doing?
I'm stretching for tonight.
I thought you're not dancing at bachelorette parties anymore.
Baby, we need the money to put Johnny through matric mos.
And what's the police uniform for?
The clients feel safer when I wear it.
No, man, just sell your bucky to We Buy Cars. They give the best prices and they pay you within minutes.
Okay, but can I just go and dance one more time, please? You know how much I love it.
No, the buyer's already on his way here.
Wow, okay.
Strapped for cash? Just sell your vehicle to We Buy Cars. The easiest way to sell your car by far.
Prepare for an exhilarating new Hollywood Bets exclusive. You could win big with our exciting new bingo range from Coletta Gaming. Turbocharge your betting experience and enjoy your bounty bonanza when you try Banana Bingo, Bingo Royale, and many more. Chase funky fortunes and get into the groove for a chance to max your numbers. Reap riveting rewards when you log in and play now. Hollywood Bets. It's more fun to bet with us. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Managing your workforce shouldn't be complicated. That's why businesses choose Onacy, a proudly South African cloud-based payroll and HR solution. From payroll and e-recruitment to performance management and self-service tools, we streamline the way businesses handle their people. Scalable, secure, and always online, our system evolves with your needs because your workforce deserves the best. Switch to Onacy and experience payroll and HR done right. Visit onacy.com today.
Some walks are just for exercise, others for leisure. But this walk is for something greater.
It's team building.
This July, you won't just take a step, you'll take a stand. You'll walk through history. You'll walk with it. On Sunday, 27 July, the 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, returns. It's a route that winds through the heart and soul of our capital city. From the sacred grounds of Freedom Park to the powerful steps of the Union buildings. Choose the 8-kilometer for those walking strong, the 6.7 kilometer in honor of Mandela Month, or the 4-kilometer for families and first-timers. Entries are 360 Rand for adults, 200 Rand for children under 12. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, is where footsteps become footprints.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
Tabo in for Clement, 24 minutes to 12 o'clock. And this is 702. Thanks for joining us. On the dialogue today, we're asking, should civil cases go through mediation before trial to reduce caseloads? As you would know, the Judge President of Gauteng Division of the High Court, Dustin Mlambo, issued a directive to that effect, making it mandatory for civil cases to go through mediation before trial. That's been challenged, as we've heard from my esteemed guests, and we continue where we left off. 011-883-0702, 011-883-0702. Advocate Justin Erasmus, maybe let's come to you. I read out a text message that came through earlier on, and the listener was bemoaning the fact that actually the stats may not actually be accurate of mediation that has worked 85% of the time, and they are estimating it to be at 10 to 15%. As far as data is concerned, what has been your experience? And I'm not expecting you to have it off the cuff of your hand right now, but what has been your just general estimate about how effective mediation is before trial?
Well, look, Tabo, what they're referring to, they are not mediated matters. Those are matters that have settled between the parties at court. There's been no mediation up to now. So that 85% that Judge Mlambo is talking about is saying
Sure.
Currently 85% of matters are settling at court. We don't know. We're astounded by those figures. PIPLA did a survey amongst its members, and we come to an amount of approximately 20% of matters settle on the steps of court. The Gauteng Attorneys Association did a survey. They come to a similar number. Because of the discrepancy between our surveys and what Judge Mlambo is saying, a fairly prominent firm of attorneys in Pretoria did a PIA request, a promotion of access to information request. Ask them, please, can you give us the underlying stats which tell us why you say 85% are settling on the steps of court? And the judiciary refused. They just said simply, we're not giving it to you. So that decision is being appealed. When the appeal should be successful in the end of the day, we will see why they say that. But we say that 85% is wrong.
Sure.
It doesn't accord with our statistics. And we've asked them why they say it's 85%, and we were just told, well, we're not telling you.
Nick Hazley is asking Mbegezeli Benjamin, and let me just be true to his words by quoting his text verbatim. If a litigant does not respond to the request for mediation, the Judge President has told the profession to compel them to respond and attend to it. Is this legal? Can they be compelled? And he goes on further to ask that the defense will be struck if they don't respond to the compulsion. Does this not open up legal certainty to severe uncertainty, as it gives ample opportunity for appeals? The striking of a defense would be illegal and against rules. Mbegezeli?
Look, I think Advocate Justin will probably have a better sense of the practicalities of it, but there is a mechanism to force or to compel a party to go into mediation, and I think this may be where the directive would clash with the rules, because Rule 41A of the Uniform Rules of Court do make mediation sort of voluntary, and the directive makes it compulsory. So then the question is, which do you follow? Do you follow the rules or the directive? Because ordinarily the rules supersede the directive. And so there are legal questions that need to be asked about whether that is actually possible. Can you compel someone? And if they don't, is it lawful for your defense to be struck off? So the question, the short answer is that I don't know, but the longer answer is that there are open legal questions about that.
Great. And Macintosh Polela, I'm not sure if this is for you. Maybe this listener will clarify it once I've read out the question, but I think it was directed your way. And as it reads, my cousin has been waiting for 13 years. He did everything with a lawyer. He doesn't want to do anything with a lawyer now. Looked for help with LPS in Mainland. It's a tear now. There has been any response now. I'm reading it as it is. There hasn't been any response now. What to do? Please advise. In your instance, Macintosh, when someone has been irritated and perhaps frustrated by the legal representative on the issue, what happens?
So on this specific case, I think what I would do is to encourage them to call our contact center, so that we can deal with the specificity of this matter. And our number is 087-820-1111. Then we can look into the case and what has happened, and we can try and assist. But in the instance where somebody has been irritated by a lawyer, and it happens, all the time, that there is a clash between the attorney and the client, and it has happened that somebody, for instance, had submitted in 2019, and they felt that the case was going nowhere, and they came directly to us after that, and they received a settlement of 800,000. But what happens from that is, you must remember that when you give your case to a lawyer or an advocate, you sign a power of attorney, and they deal with that case, and they bill for that for that case. And in the instance of this individual who received 800,000, that he then received a call from the lawyer, where the lawyer was saying, "I represented you, and you owe me this much," and there was a clash between the two. So one has to caution in that instance. But I do confirm that it does happen from time to time. But again, in the specific with the specific listener who has approached you, I do encourage them to call us again on 087-820-1111, and we can deal with this case.
And we'll try to repeat the number towards the end of this interview. Just something similar, Macintosh. Perhaps you may have just a one-way response, or say, Thabo, I've just given you the number. Just to do justice to it, it says 2018 accident happened, 2030 court date. Maybe Advocate Erasmus, this is a bit frustrating. How do you reconcile, perhaps legally, the matter of mediation and speeding up the trials? And you have been extremely eloquent and articulate on how the judge president cannot just issue this directive based on its lack of legal soundness, if you will. But something needs to be done. What are some of the issues or interventions that can be entered into to mitigate against what some of the listeners are saying? 2018 accident happened, 2030 court date.
Thabo, there's a number of things that can be done. Firstly, the government, the Minister of Justice, needs to take a good hard look at the report of the Moseneke Commission, which is something that Mr. Benjamin touched on earlier. We just don't have enough judges. That's the elephant in the room. If we had enough judges, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation today. A good hard look needs. So we probably need another 30 judges in this division. Would be my guess. So that's the first thing. The second thing that needs to be looked at is, I don't think we should abandon mediation as a vehicle, but it needs to be implemented more carefully. And there's two legs of things that we need to look at here. The judges have ignored the fact that the South African Law Reform Commission has a discussion paper and a draft bill out. I believe discussions and comment ended on that on the 31st of April, yesterday. So there's a policy framework. If you're going to introduce mediation, you must do it in terms of a law, because at the moment we have these clashing imperatives between the directive and between the law. If you're going to introduce mediation, do the law. The South African Law Reform Commission is grappling with things, for example, about who pays. Should the state pay, as happens in the labour courts? Those kind of issues have got a far more nuanced and more, how shall I put it, not a softer approach, but a wider and more considered approach than the directive. And we think the directive should have waited and been integrated with what the South African Law Reform Commission says. On the very immediate level, there are things that we can do, matters that can get mediated and or settled. Mr. Polela will tell you there were block settlements, which were, unfortunately, they weren't continued with after a certain point, but they were quite effective in dealing with a lot of cases fairly easily. We could identify, for example, simple merits cases where there's a passenger involved. We could identify loss of support claims, which are generally fairly uncontroversial. There's a number of categories of claims that could be introduced either for and used and sent to block settlement, or perhaps put into a mediation stream that is voluntary. And I'm telling you, plaintiffs' attorneys would love to deal with those kind of matters quickly and easily. That would have several advantages. That would immediately start reducing the number of matters on the roll, and it would also give us a proof of concept for whether mediation works. But unfortunately, none of those measures have been looked at. We haven't looked at what the Law Reform Commission says. We haven't looked at a pilot project. We haven't looked at prioritizing categories of cases, and nothing has been said about the elephant in the room, the Moseneke Commission, and our drastic shortage of judges in this division.
Candace writes to us and says mediation is 25,000 rands a day. That sounds like an exorbitant cost, and someone perhaps will still argue that going in front of a judge will be more expensive. Mbegazeli?
Look, I think it ranges on a number of factors, the experience of the mediator, the complexity of the issues. So it really depends on what would be the best for each particular case. But many of the proposals that Advocate Erasmus just raised now on identifying worthy cases that are suitable for mediation, where the dispute really is very, very narrow, and it doesn't actually need the use of a judge in resolving that dispute. I think that is something that should be explored in more cases than we currently are doing. But there's also, I think, a bigger question of how we ensure that people still get justice as quickly as possible, because part of what the Judge President put forward as a motivating factor for this is that, yes, people may have trial dates in 2030, but if you waited between now and 2030, a lot may happen. People may actually die. Some people will lose their evidence and all other issues between now and then. So there maybe is a lot of impetus to get some of these mediation discussions or settlement discussions going so that some of those cases are resolved sooner than later. Because at the end, if you wait 3 years and you get a very small amount at the end of it, was it really worth the wait and the cost of it? So I think that's a bigger question. But also, the Minister of Justice certainly does need to be part of this conversation. And the Moseneke report actually has made some recommendations on the need for more judges, the need for more resources in the court system. And we still need to hear from the minister on why between June 2024, when the report was released, up till now, we haven't heard anything on what is the plan, what will be done to ensure that we get more judges in Gauteng and probably across the country. It's not just a Gauteng problem. The epicenter of the crisis is in Gauteng because more than 50% of all civil cases in South Africa are dealt with between Johannesburg and Pretoria High Courts.
072-702-1702. Feel free to send your voice notes to that number. Mr. Polela, how does your mediation work, or perhaps settlement agreements work? Do they involve a third neutral party that comes in to bring the two parties together, or do you do it internally? How does it really work at the Road Accident Fund?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't include a third party. As I said, we do have inboxes of lawyers who are voluntarily coming to us and say they want to enter into settlements. In fact, I was listening to Advocate Erasmus when he was talking about block settlements. Last year, we were approached by the Black Lawyers Association, the BLF, and in some of the discussions that we had several meetings. It was agreed between us that the cases that are ready for settlement should be brought forth, so that we alleviate, the stress on the courts. we here and now, I offer the same invitation to Advocate Erasmus to say perhaps, as an association, as with their colleague, we should have meetings where these cases can be settled. And unfortunately, where we meet Mr. Erasmus's Advocate Erasmus's colleagues, it's mostly at the courts where we have disputes, or in the media when we're having ping pong fights between each other. And I think what this calls for is for us to, sit around the table more and find cases that are ready to settle, and try to settle them as quickly as possible. As it stands now, with Advocate Erasmus's colleagues, he mentioned a firm in Pretoria. We have a very adversarial relationship, which is not good for for the justice system. It's not good. It's not good for ourselves. It's not good for the relationship between ourselves and Mr. Erasmus's colleagues. Going forth, I think we need to, both from ourselves, humble ourselves and say, look, in the interest of the clients, let's sit down and let's find out which mechanisms we can use to try and find each other in the interests of clients. And my cell number is open to Mr. Erasmus. Let's talk. Let's talk about this to find which cases we can settle sooner.
Yeah, and I'm not going to charge you 25,000 rands a day for me putting the two of you together and talking about it.
We'll talk, Macintosh. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, and I think it's very much a sense of sobriety that comes into this, because it's for the benefit of every South African, if you could. But Mbegezeli, let's come to you. I mean, you are always fighting very hard for people to understand how the judiciary works, but also to highlight the plight and challenges faced by the judiciary. In this instance, the numbers are staggering. I mean, I'm just getting people sending various dates here. Someone is also saying 12 years of waiting, and yes, a lot can happen in that time. Maybe draw a picture for us, if you can, just to sober us a little bit, Mbegezeli, about the state that we are in right now. What will happen if this directive is challenged successfully in court and we are back at square one? The caseload, the backlogs, and the long waiting periods, what does it mean for an ordinary person who is in the queue right now? But also for the judges. And not just their mental health, but the workload that they have to face and the quality of judgments that they have to issue.
So we are in a very difficult situation, Thabo. I must tell you. I think for people who are waiting in court, and to be quite honest, the directive affects mainly people waiting on the civil trial road, and it affects mainly people with road accident claims, medical negligence claims, police misconduct or unlawful arrest claims, and even those who have business or general damages claims. So people who want to sue to recover money. Those are the people who are mostly affected by this. What it essentially means is that you just have to wait in queue. You have to wait in line, and you get a trial date in 2031, as you mentioned. And between now and then, that means if you were injured in a road accident, that means you sit with those injuries for a good 5 years, and you either will continue to live a very difficult life, you will sometimes not have access to the medical assistance that you need in order for you to get better. Some people will lose the evidence that they need to prove their claims. Others, like I said, will die. For those similar with those who have medical negligence claims, I think that is really the difficulty with them waiting so long. And so these interventions are needed, and they were needed yesterday. And I said the first priority is for us to get more judges and to get the Palm Ridge High Court, for example, a fully fledged High Court division there that will relieve some of the pressure on the courts. For judges what I've heard speaking to judges in both Johannesburg, Pretoria, and other courts is that, look, the workload has become impossible. You really hardly have any time to read and prepare. You work over weekends, over public holidays. You really are under a huge amount of pressure. And unfortunately, we see the effects of this in the long delays between when the hearing happens and the judgment comes out. So people wait 2-3 years, not years, but the norms and standards say that you have to get your judgment within 3 months. That 3 months is actually the exception. Most judgments take longer. And not that the judges are not working hard. Our judges, the vast majority of them work extremely hard, like I said, over weekends and public holidays to get the work done. But that comes at a cost to their mental health. And unfortunately comes at the cost of the quality of justice that we should receive. And so we do need these interventions as in yesterday.
Very quickly, gentlemen, you'll have 20 seconds each to respond to Stembiso, who's calling from Centurion. Stembiso, keep it short, please. It's your turn.
A very important conversation. I'm one of those who feel compulsory mediation really, it fringes upon right of litigant to access court and to justice. I don't understand why mediation has to be compulsory. Let me tell you this. Before lawyers take matters to court, they would have tried. And what they would have tried to settle the matters. But what happens, people only settle when they see that the date to go to court is approaching, which forces them to then settle matters. It's not that people there's no lawyer who can take a matter and then say, I'm going to court just because I want to go to court.
Sure. Stembi, so let's leave it at that. I think we got the gist of it. Sorry, you called at the tail end of the show, so apologies to rudely cut you off there. Gentlemen, about 10 seconds each in closing, starting with Advocate Justin Erasmus.
Compulsory mediation does infringe upon the rights of litigants. I agree with the caller. We do think that mediation in general, as a voluntary mediation, perhaps incentivized by early trial dates or something like that, could assist, but we don't think that people should be barred from court by costs or time of mediation.
McIntosh Palela? Briefly.
Look, we do welcome this, as I said earlier, but again, it needs to be looked into much further. I just want to once again say to Advocate Erasmus, we need to fight less and talk more.
I agree, McIntosh.
Begezeli Benjamin, 10 seconds.
No, I think, this is a longer conversation, but we do need the government to step up, and both the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Transport, in terms of capacitating the RAF to deal with some of these claims and settle them early, is something that also needs to happen.
Thanks for your time, gentlemen. 2 minutes to 12 o'clock.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult, day 3,247. My financial advisor asked if I was expecting any inheritance. I said, I don't have a trust fund, but I trust that funds will find their way to my bank account. He was not amused.
Recently removed from the family payroll. Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
This payday Take a Lot wants you to clear your cart with a lot for less. When they say a lot, they mean bulk top-ups on monthly essentials like toiletries, self-care goodies, household cleaning products, and lunchbox favorites, all at great affordable prices. The more you buy, the less you pay. It's giving value for money. So clear your cart this payday on Take a Lot and buy a lot for less. Plus, sign up to Take a Lot More for unlimited free delivery and more savings from Take a Lot and Mr. D.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
12 o'clock, time for Eyewitness News.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Lamini. We begin in Centurion, where police have now found a large metal object which may be part of the vehicle which 3 police officers were travelling in when they went missing. Emergency service teams have been wading through the Henops River near a low-lying bridge where the bodies of the police were found this week. The bodies of Constables Ekurhuleni Linda, Kiamukhetsu Base and Boipelo Senoge